Better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up. Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the blockchain. Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeChain, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us here. When you've done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top and smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. Warms up the algo and really does us a solid. We're also live over on YouTube streets as well as Abstract on Steve's account today. You'll also find the X video feed live on Steve's account as well. As always, I'm Cap Jim. I'm my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky. NFTs are risky. Meme coins exception. Risk can go to zero to moment's notice. Please don't put any money in you can't afford to lose. Know that Steve and I hold tokens we'll talk about here from time to time on the show. We're not financial advisors, certainly not your financial advisors. Don't join us for that. Just join us for some fun, some information, and education along the way. GM Steve, how you doing, sir? Good weekend. Happy Father's Day. All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. GM to all our friends who are GMN out there. We got some good GMs this morning. Slower start on the spaces, so give us a like, a retweet, a comment on there. As we've mentioned, we've given away many things from BZ. We will be giving away some ApeCoin in the future. But the way you can pay us back, the easiest way you can pay us back is by like, retweeting, and commenting on the room. RDL, Machiavelli, Bordo, Saka, Von Frunten, Big Bear, Mesh, Diablito, Green Edge, all in the video chat over in Abstract. Abstract is just cooking this morning. Oh my God, I got to go all the way back to see all the different people who are in Mesh. I'm guessing that's Kazi maybe with the address there. Von Frunten, Machiavelli, Thomas, Diablito, Mesh. No teacher Katie, no rare Ed in the quick GMs this morning. Yeah, it's must be a slower morning on those streets for sure. And then going over to the spaces. Good to see everyone in there again. Like, retweet, and comment on the spaces if you don't mind out there. Again, a lot of the same folks, adding in Dobbins, Mel checking in as usual, Boochin out getting the Monday miles in. Good for you. Aspiring Nobody. All the good friends out there. Riz Bryan, heck of a finish yesterday to the Open, Ark Invest, or the Open. I call it the Open if it's the British Open. It is the U.S. Open where they struggled. Clay, good seeing you out there. Clay, good luck. Caruso, Gif out there. General Wags checking in. Mike C, Kazi as well as the friends. Yeah, man, good weekend. Relatively uneventful. Had to do some cleaning. Got a lot of work done. Not as much work as I wanted to. I am...
Did some good propagating yesterday, Steve. I'm developing quite the green thumb.
Oh, yeah?
Backyard's looking, not only the yard, I'm doing it all in pots. So whether I move, probably going to bring some greenery into the office here in a bit. But yeah, I'm benefit of Florida is it's easy to grow things outside year round. And actually, first house back in Ohio, I had a greenhouse kind of like room in it, if that makes any sense. Like they'd actually built a real greenhouse connected to the home, and got into some planting back then, and haven't for a while. But yeah, had a productive weekend on that front, and good busted out the grill last night. Some good steaks on the grill. Good weekend.
That's interesting. That's actually two things. It's funny you hit on those two things. Number one, we had grown some plants last year. And like we've tried to do a garden every year. Every year we get started way too late. We're not good at tending gardens. We're terrible at plants. In fact, at our old house, we did a bunch of landscaping when we were like, hey, we're new homeowners. We're in our, mid-20s. We're going to do this thing. We put a bunch of plants out. They all died. Like literally we got a set of bushes that the guy said, look, you could pour gasoline on these things and they won't die. And they were slowly dying after we planted them. When we went to sell that house, because we were only there for about a year and a half before we moved back home, our neighbor's like 15-year-old kid took care of him and revived everything. So like we're that bad. And this year, so initially we had a garden that we had put together. We put together like this whole little fence post garden, keep it from critters. And then we just bought like a metal standalone, easy keep-in garden or whatever that was really easy to set up. Grew some tomatoes and stuff last year. It was so. Didn't do anything this year. We looked, bunch of tomato plants sprouting in there. Didn't ask for it, not working. So it's perfect. So we'll have some fresh tomatoes. So not great on the plant front. What was the other thing you kicked off with? I can't remember. You kicked off with something else that like hit me.
Just good, grown some good steaks. That's all.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is I need a new grill. So it's funny you say it's like, your timing is interesting. I have this grill that I thought was pretty nice. Went to connect the gas to it. When I turn on the gas, it just spits right out the little nozzle thing. And it's like, at this point, someone's going to charge me like $100 to fix it. It's $500 for a new grill.
I've had like really nice grills. My brother is a very talented chef. He used to have a barbecue food truck. He actually made a smoker for me out of a 55-gallon drum. I've had a lot of fancy stuff. I'm at a point now where I like last few grills I've got, I just go buy like the $50 Weber grill that's just the circle charcoal thing, and I just charcoal it up.
I do like gas though because it makes my life a lot easier. It's like turn, click, button.
It's much easier, but once you get the charcoal process down, you get like one of the little chimney starters.
Yeah, I got one of those. Yep.
It's not. I just think it tastes better, and I don't know. Like I'd rather go through replace a grill every few years for $50 than go drop 500 on one that is fancier. I don't know. I
had it for like 2 years. Yeah. I mean, your point is actually strong. I've had it for like 2 years and it somehow like messed up. And it's like,
that's the point. Even the expensive grills go out after a few years, right? Unless you like really take care of them. I've spent $500 on a grill and it's lasted a few years, probably lasted more than a few years, but in my memory, it was like, wow, that thing didn't last very long. And so yeah, at last few, I just went like the $50 to $80 Weber from Walmart, and it works just fine.
I mean, my problem is I live in the Midwest and I don't take good care of it. And like,
it's also
this is my problem. This is my problem. Like if I took proper care of my grill, it's a skill issue. It's like, I don't clean it often enough, which is a mistake. And then it's a pain in the ass to clean when I do. I think I left the gas hooked in over the winter, which probably made it expand and contract. And that's probably why it's spitting out the side, because it wasn't clicked properly. So like the truth is, like, I think if I get a nice grill and I take care of it and I cover it, it's just like I forget to cover it one night, then the cover gets messed up, and then it's like, and
Same.
so it's just I would like to do it. And to your point, like when I took decent care of like 2 or 3 grills ago, I took good care of it, and it was like probably a decade or something. It was like a long run for that one. My last 2 I haven't taken good care of, so I don't know. Maybe I'll get a nicer one. I do just like the convenience of the gas. Like I like that I turn it on, I flick a button, I'm done. You can get like the gas charcoal ones where you put like the little charcoal in it, you flip on the gas and it lights the charcoal. So you get like the same sort of best of both worlds, but a little more expensive. But yeah, in college, actually, I was at no longer even an apartment building, I don't think so, but 20 East 14th in Columbus when I was across from the Oval. And I used to have just a little circle grill that I would go out with charcoal. I use the little charcoal starter thing that you mentioned that you talk about. And then I would just grill in the parking lot right there. And it was great, you know, before game days, after game days, whatever. So maybe I'll go back that direction to your point. Cause I don't know, man. I just don't do a great job taking care of these things. And like, I'm going to go end up dropping more money on a grill, but like, I got to stop. I got to take care of it if I do. Like this time I have to commit to being like, the problem
I think
is
you just unpacked why I go the cheap grill route, because I've come to the point where I haven't taken proper care of the expensive grills, and I don't even fight it anymore. I know myself, like I'll have the cover on it, I'll take care of it for like a few months, and then I leave it out in one rainstorm, the cover gets ripped. I'm like, shit. So yeah, that's probably why I'm a fan of the $50 Weber grill.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm very much the same way. I'm like, I'll take care of it the first few times. But the problem is the grill is piping hot when you finish with it. So you need to like remind yourself in like an hour or two to put the cover back on. And so it's like, it's easy when I grill at like the afternoon. Like if I'm just grilling at like 1 o'clock, sure, later on in the night. But if I grill at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I got to remember at like 10 o'clock to go cover this thing again. It's just not as sustainable. So I don't know, like you're probably right. Like it's probably just me being like, but it's the same reason for both of us. I just didn't take care of it both times the last 2 times. Again, but before I had kids, when I was just grilling for myself and I had a nice grill, no problem. It's just, I think we underestimate, if anyone who has kids probably feels this, you just underestimate how much your kids, if you're like really there, take up like time, energy, both mentally and just actual time. It's like, my house used to be the house people go to before I had kids. It was always clean. It's cluttered as hell now. And I'd rather be cluttered with my kids running around. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, we can't get our house under control. They just have a bunch of stuff. And you can't get it cleaned up. And they can't get it cleaned up. And it's like impossible to do. So I don't know. It's like that, or taking care of my grill, or taking care of myself, or working out. It's just all these things. Just absolutely, you just have less hours in the day. I had this conversation the other day. There was like a job that was kind of interesting that I thought might be kind of fun to think about.
Ooh, Steve froze up. Is it just me?
I'm losing maybe connection, or Cap's playing with something. I don't know.
No, you're back. You froze up for a second, but you're back now.
Yeah.
Looks good here.
Trying to figure out if it's on my side or your side. This happened a few times, and last time I thought it was me, and everyone was like, everybody except Steve is messed up. So people have to tell me if I just froze up or not. But anyway, Cap, yeah, do us a favor, give us a like, or retweet, a comment on the room. Enough dad grill talk, I think, for the morning. You know, as always, open stage. If people want to come up and chat about things going on in the market. Cap, any other cold open material or anything?
Well, we can kind of roll right into it. I know we've got a couple minutes of cold open left, but yeah, give us a like, a repost. Slow Spaces Discovery, a little slow this morning. Appreciate all the love, getting things going. I don't know why I owe a Rigs Just Like a post of mine from December 30th, referencing AI agents are to 2025 as NFTs were to 2021. It was I quote tweeted something from the virtuals ecosystem. Proof point that I was early to the virtuals ecosystem, too early, in fact, that I didn't write it out long enough. And I haven't even like fully exited. I just stopped paying attention, and it became one of those like you really need to pay attention and understand what's going on. So I'm like, I don't know what prompted him to go back and like that from 6 months ago. I was wrong and right at the same time, I think. We've got, I just quick highlight news items on my tick list. An all-time high day for Hyperliquid. I continue to shell it to my in real life friend group, despite not holding a big enough bag myself. And Ghost Machine mint out 50,000 50,000 NFTs minted out on Friday. I pinned up top. I meant to talk about it on Friday. I pinned the Mint League, and then we didn't get to it. And then I also so at some point we owe Betty and Psych a comeback show because we had technical issues the time we did have them on. But congrats to the team there, and not only did it mint out, it's up quite a bit, or at least the last I looked, up quite a bit in terms of floor price. So continue to be ApeChain continues to be the home of NFT mint, Steve.
Yeah, ApeChain continues to be a cooking home of NFT mints. Love to see it. I'm just excited. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about directionally some adoption things that are coming up, some things that I didn't have on my radar. By the way, like I got, I don't want to like over the top, like make people think I'm just a straight, OpenSea shill because I've been enjoying the rewards program. I know we talked about that last week. I talked about, I got my rec stuff there. I got the OpenSea retweet, which cooked a little bit this weekend. But I actually was reading OpenSea's like blog roundup on Friday because like they put out these articles and they get nerfed because they're a link. But there was like 3 or 4 things that were like really interesting towards the direction of adoption that completely missing from my timeline because they're not financialized games. And at some point, the zero-sum game doesn't work of like chasing Kaido leaderboards and everything. And at some point, we need to have like proper incentive structures in Web3. But I just found that interesting that there is some good stuff going on that I'll hit on for sure. But I saw Jack's hand fly up. So let's do this. We'll go to Jack. We'll get to our tick list. I know we got Glyph coming on this morning, or we're talking on ApeChain on the Glyph side as far as some different things at 9 a.m. for our ApeChain Architect segment. So we have, about 45 minutes till then. I'll probably shill my Substack again. I'm probably going to put my first article. I am going to put my first article out this week, which is going to be a very long read. So I'm going to actually record it so people could listen to audio if they want. But Jack, go ahead and get in here. GM,
fellas. Look, as always, just putting yourselves as the most relatable people in Web3. The barbecue segment had me cackling, and I'm with you guys. Like I used to have like a very expensive Weber until exactly what you guys explained, which was it was too hot to clean on the day. And then in the UK, it goes from peak summer to peak winter in the blink of an eye. So like the next day it rained, I'd forgot about it. And basically the weather just turned for a couple of weeks. By the time I got to that thing, there was some halloumi that looked more alive than it had ever had the right to look alive before that. I just hadn't cleaned out the barbecue to that extent. And basically that thing I think now probably is just walking around somewhere mutated. I don't know where that grill is, but I'm pretty sure the mold that was probably accrued in there has brought it to life in some way. Look, I was happy to go wherever you guys want today. Just a couple things that have caught my attention if you guys missed it. Rec Guy did an absolute numbers over the weekend just after we were talking about how
I'm so mad, Jack. I had an actual draft. I kid you not. So you ever do this? Like you're typing something, a tweet, and it disappears. I think I was on desktop. Yeah. Like I had this whole like it wasn't really a thread. It was just a longer form post. And the gist of it was I was talking about how the Rec Guy NFT has delivered some of the best utility of all the it's arguably on par with Pudgies and Apes in terms of rewarding their holders. In this case, with not only equity and Rec brands, but the Rec token. And it was like comparing, you got Apes at 12 ETH or whatever they were, Pudgies at 9.9, and Rec Guy NFT at the time I had it was 0.39. And then I lost it. Like it just disappeared. It wasn't in my drafts. And I was so frustrated. And it would have taken me like 5 minutes to go back and redo the whole thing. But because I lost it, I didn't go back and type it up again and send it. Would have looked good because it would have looked like I was calling it before. I'm probably still going to do it because it still holds. It's just, I do still think that it's underappreciated, maybe underpriced, the Rec Guy NFTs in particular, just relative to what that brand is doing. Sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, dude, that's exactly it. And we had that conversation, right? Like we sort of, at least when we were talking a couple of days ago, or actually it's probably more like a week now. It was very much, why is this thing where it currently is? If you look about how they are actually competing with the likes of the numbers Red Bull saw in their first year, it was just giving Pudgy vibes. And Pudgy obviously was sitting at multiple number higher. And then from that conversation OSF just went on an absolute tear. Like from that conversation, he was partnering with every which brand you would want him to partner with. The numbers just kept going up. They started on Solana. There's like a base. He just absolutely crushed it. And then lo and behold, I think it was Saturday, it just ripped 44% and went from like 0.39, 0.4 to like high 0.5s. And yeah, that's when I picked mine up, which was, fun times, just FOMO buy. Because I was like, look, I can buy the top of a 40% rip. I can't watch this thing send another couple ETH, and that is definitely giving me bull vibes right now. I think the other thing, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a post that I just think depicts the space so perfectly right now, where there was a creator who was partnered with like a fairly reputable brand in the space. It was actually a brand I'd hosted shows for. And turns out that person was complete fiction. Yeah, it was a female PFP.
Wait. You had hosted shows with them? Or say that again. I saw the drama. It was 100K Azuki LARPer.
Yeah.
But what you hosted shows with that account?
No, with the brand. So the brand, the little square, that account was obviously now being paid by the project, which was Slingshot DAO. I used to host shows with them. They had a previous, I don't know if it was a CEO or founder, but basically someone who left it. And after they left it, they readdressed what they should be marketing their projects like. Funnily enough, my account size wasn't big enough, so to watch that unravel, and they basically had just redistributed their marketing budget to what turned out to be a fake human being, a fake Azuki, and also a person who probably was not given the rights for their photos to be used after they were found. I think it was like a Russian Instagram account that was found out to be the real story. So yeah, I found that really interesting and telling about where the space currently is at, and thought there might be a conversation there too.
I mean, get used to it because AI influencers are coming. Like, I mean, like this is
why even use another person when you can create an AI person today? Like that's also wild. Like low effort. Like not even take the time to create an actual AI person. You're just going to steal someone else's photos.
It's also not. It's super not hard to do, right? Like you can just tell it to create someone who, if you're going to spend that much time and energy on it, just, create something that is a little bit more believable. And it's that simple. it is a strange thing to do. I saw that as well. So I don't know, stay safe out there. It's a thing where it's like, I'm not, you have to be docs type thing, but I think quality of content matters. I think at the moment we're still at a point where it's very easy to spot ChatGPT. Although to be fair, I do get accused of being ChatGPT simply because I like to use big words and actually elegant writing. But yeah, I saw Docs and Wizard called this person out. It was like Groomy. It wasn't their account, and then found this is a random Russian influencer. So just be careful out there.
By Florian Lab Capital.
Yeah. And I realize also in about 20 minutes, we got Ryan coming on to talk a little bit ApeChain and what his project is as well. Ryan Smith, who's just a great ApeChain community member. So that'll lead into the ApeCoin segment. So Cap, I'll give you my quick tick list of things I got. So I've got sort of I don't even want to get into the deep Kaido conversation because there was like a Kaido's thing I had, but I think there's more to talk about.
I just saw a screenshot. I don't know if it's real or not. I should go check before I say anything, but we're gonna go on. I'm not even gonna go there. Never mind. Forget I said anything.
All right. Cap saw a screenshot. Breaking.
Well, maybe tomorrow. Not for today. My algorithm, especially on the following side, has changed significantly in the last week or so. And I think it's more than just mine. I think there was some buttons changed at the very top of the X algorithm. And semi-related, it's what a time to be alive when I think it was the Iran military was indexing on the Kaido leaderboard this weekend. But again, that's the conversation for another time.
Yeah. No, it's a yeah, I mean maybe they're Laudio, but like I guess like my yeah, I was gonna say like on the Kaido leaderboard stuff, It's funny because like I got one Van Fretton said they call him M-Steve. I actually don't use M-dashes. I've never been a fan of the look of an M-dash, even though I know it's correct in certain points. I've definitely used them in my book because an editor will make you use it, but I'm not a big M-dash guy. I do use ChatGPT to help me not have typos because I'll put something and it'll be like, you just straight left a word out here. I'm like, I did. Yes, that is my ADHD. But no, I Trump making $58 million off World Liberty-Fi is probably not going to be a great look for us. Trump disclosed he made $57.3 million off World Liberty-Fi. Token sale in 2024, probably not going to be helpful for us in mass adoption, fighting with a side that's going to stand against that. Sonium, I actually want to talk a little bit about because they're doing, there's sort of two part and parcel stories here. Sonium and Flappy Bird, actually, if you have not seen this, the old Flappy Bird game, are both looking at different on-chain things. Sonium is Sony's blockchain. And I think the idea that, it doesn't hit the timeline, but like, I missed this like a week ago, some incubator stuff that Sony is doing on their blockchain, which is like moving gaming and things forward. Like this is the sort of like, we're not paying attention, but there are actual things happening that are moving the space forward. So that was on my list. But what do you have on your list of things today?
Yeah, I saw you did your thread on Newton, and I noticed they had flew up to the top of the Kaido leaderboard at like 17% mind share. Did they announce a new campaign, or what? They've been on there for a while. What drove their spike up over the weekend? What caught your eye?
I honestly just went to the Kaido leaderboard this morning and I was like, all right, I saw Newton over the weekend. What's Newton? Let's talk about like what this thing is. And is it the latest thing that is like, because every time there's a leaderboard thing, I go and I click on it. I'm like, this is stupid. And I was like, oh no, another AI agent. This is stupid. And then I went and clicked on it and I was like, oh, this thing will just execute trading strategies for me and help me not think about it. Like, that's interesting. And I feel like I've seen Sammy talk about this like long ago and I just didn't pay attention. Because like, Sammy talks about all the AI agent stuff. He's really good at it, but like a lot of it's not applicable to me. I'm very skeptical of the AI agent space because I think a lot of them are just glorified like vibe influencers that put a token behind it. I've never been a fan of that. And then I saw Newton. I was like, okay, so I could just tell it like rules and it'll just execute trading on me. So I saw it at a surface level. I just looked at it. Read about it, kind of like looked through some of the docs, but like I haven't actually used it yet. So this week I'm going to be playing with it to see, because I don't like trading. I am not a good trader. I am not somebody who enjoys doing that, but being able to tell it what to do and having it do it is more like, if I'm like, man, I'm never going to catch up on the Hyperliquid trade. Hype's just flying. Phonics has been telling me about this since like a 4X ago. I'm not doing it. I could just tell it like, every time this happens, do this and buy, $50 of hype and just tell it to be doing it. And it would just do it for me. So that's what I think is interesting, as I understand it, is it's like a executing trading bot that can like, stable for you and kind of, put in stop losses. In fact, this sort of thing of wallets in general will be interesting to me. There's obviously some nervousness about having it execute things on your behalf. So there has to be like a third party entity. But like I had an NFT recently I got absolutely washed on that I had a mental stop loss on, and it just blew through the stop loss. And it's like, if I didn't have a mental stop loss, by the way, and then I got emotional about that mental stop loss, even after it first blew floor there, being like, well, what if it bounces?
How bad is that? Exactly what NFT you're talking about too.
What's that?
How bad is it that I know exactly what NFT you're talking about too?
Oh, no. You're thinking of a different one, but yes, I think there is that one too. Like, and that is another one. That's another actual example. I wasn't thinking of the one you're thinking of, but I had a mental stop loss on that one.
Even worse, that I'm not thinking of the one you're thinking of, but you know the exact one I thought you were thinking of.
Oh yeah, I know exact one you thought I was thinking of. But like, yeah, man, it's like these mental, because what happens to me personally, and this is why I think this Magic Newton thing is interesting, is I will have a mental stop loss on a thing. And then it'll blow through that and I'll be like, but it can turn around and what happens here? And I don't, and then it continues to drop. And all I needed to do, the one you're talking about is a great example, is I needed to just execute on my thing. But if I had something executing on that for me, it would take the emotion out of it.
I saw Meta 8 ETH actually in the chat while I've been talking, used BankerBot to buy they got a market update, and then they did a swap or something. I think they bought $50. If I don't know why I'm not finding it now. I just saw it. Anyways, I think this becomes like the new norm. I think whether it's you go to a terminal or even on Twitter, I think this is we talk so often about being at the bleeding edge of tech. I think this is a glimpse into the future for most of the actions we take in our life, Steve. I think Bunchie's been talking about ephemeral software forever. I think the day of having all these apps that we need to go do a task, the time is nearing an end. I think we're very close to this world where, like I said, I was right and wrong about the impact AI agents would have in 2025. I still think they're going to have just an absolutely world-changing impact. I'm not exactly sure how tokenization fits in with it. Definitely doesn't fit in with all of them. To your point, it's definitely not needed with all of them. Some, I think there's some really cool stuff they could do with it. But yeah, one other quick thing, because we probably don't have time to do the deep dive. I just wanted to call attention to it, and maybe I can queue up the video for take a listen, and we can talk about it tomorrow, because it's kind of an evergreen discussion. And I'll hand it right back to you and take it wherever you'd like here. But I just wanted to, I don't know if you caught this clip, the Gainsey interview with Luca.
I've seen a few clips from it, yeah.
So I pinned up a clip up top. Breeze, I wasn't even following Breeze. He's got like 410 followers. Just goes to show, like, clipping good content can help you get discovered. Anyways, the take Luca had on, I'll summarize it. Essentially, the NFTs will have a second season. They will have a comeback. We're starting to see it. And this idea that they are it's a pre-seed fundraising round, and all that goes with that when you talk about building this community. I mean, we're seeing it play out right now. I mean, Luca's and what he's done with Pudgy's one example. We talk so much about Rect and what that started with a free Rect Guy NFT. And by the way, that wasn't even their first NFT. They did DGens before that. And then so Rect Guy was a free claim for all the like just pivoting until they found product market fit, but ultimately leveraging NFTs as a way to launch a product, launch a brand, bring in some pre-seed funding. The participants, the supporters, they know it's not equity. But I think the founders who do it best, who really build exciting businesses and are sustained, it's not just a short-term attention capture. Rather, they get these loyal brand ambassadors that it's like a free army of marketers. Like, think about Rect brands right now. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of brand ambassadors. 10 out of 10 on an NPS score. Going to tell their friends and family to go buy Rect drinks. Go to, if you're stop by 7-Eleven today and pick up this new soda. They're paying them nothing. Yes, they've gifted them equity in the company. They've gifted them Rect token, this brand coin that is in this concept of Web4, and like there's a lot to unpack here. Like I said, probably not a deeper conversation today, but I at least wanted to call attention to the clip up top. I thought it was a really good clip, and Luca nailed it. I mean, you want to talk about like having his sound bites down, like he really nails the take on why NFTs and kind of like their place in the world. And it's just like, we're not going to have the mania we had last time. He also said that you got to keep in mind, like, a lot of people really got burnt. We're still so close to that. Like, someone that came in and got, lost 10 grand on NFTs in 2021, 2022, that's still fresh on their mind. We're not far enough away from that to where we see just everyone flooding into this. But I think we've gotten to this point where those that are crypto native are really going to start to look at NFTs as that first mechanism, that first way to launch a product, launch a brand, get your initial group of supporters, and then you bring them along every step along the way. Whether that NFT comes with token allocation, whether that NFT gives them basically an allow list to go buy tokens in a pre-sale, whether that gives them just a free claim. Like, it could be, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but using that NFT is essentially the first launch, like this idea of like a next gen Kickstarter is very real. Like, it works. We've seen it happen. We really, like, I think things maybe play out very differently last cycle, Steve, if the regulatory landscape was what it is today. I know laws haven't changed, but certainly the feelings are very different, and the landscape has absolutely changed. And like I said, deeper conversation for another day. But I wanted to call attention to the clip. It was one of those clips like, oh yeah, we are. This thing is actually going to happen. NFTs are going to have like staying power in the sense of launching brands and businesses.
I mean, I'm not like I agree with everything you said, and not to poo-poo it, but like I actually saw the clip and I was like, this is relatively obvious. Like, this is the thesis that we've had all along. This is largely the thesis of my book. This is largely the thesis of things we and you and me have talked about for years.
Agreed. Absolutely. I think my what like to try to land the plane though is like, just because it didn't happen immediately, like all of us thought it was going to happen, just because brands like Nike and Starbucks came into the space and it didn't work out, doesn't mean it's not going to happen as the thesis has been. Like, it is working. It's just, it's new. It's novel. Not every franchise makes it. A lot of franchises fail. Not just the franchisees, but the actual franchise brand goes out of business. Doesn't mean that franchising as a business model is bad or doesn't work. It's building things is hard. Building new IP is very hard. And I just because it didn't boom and we've seen big brands attempt it and then already throw in the towel, I think it gets another go from not just the crypto natives, basically. I think others, it's just I think what really stuck out to me is like thinking how relatively recent it is in the minds of those who got burnt and didn't stay here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I wasn't trying to poo-poo the thought, by the way. I totally agree with you. I had we were like giving bold predictions in Scott and I initially recorded something for the 1 year anniversary of the Everything token that we couldn't get it through like certain compliance things or didn't have time. We both got busy. But I think one of my bold takes was like, by the end of the year, we will see another large brand enter into NFTs, whether we know it or not, with some sort of platform like this. And I fully agree with you. And honestly, like, I think it's going to happen like concurrently with different type of infra. Like, I think, I'll kind of share, the thing I was talking about Sonium. I mean, Sony is a blockchain, Sonium, and they're basically doing a, sort of like grants that they're giving out for, from the Sony Innovation Fund, this official investor supported fund, where they're trying to actually run effectively an incubator for people building on Sonium to move on-chain gaming forward. Like, to me, that's interesting. It was like a week ago, but nobody talked about it. I did like 100,000 impressions like a week ago or something, but they're actually doing grants from a 60K pool, featured marketing across Sony and partners channels, quests, hackathons, AMAs, infra partner perks and mentorship, demo day with Sony Innovation Fund. And the applications closed June 30th in 2 weeks. But like, you have that going on at the same time. And I know this sounds silly, but Flappy Bird was an obsession in this country about 10 years ago. And Epic Game Store is bringing it back, and they're talking about bringing it on chain. This is the type of game that is on chain right now. Gigaburst, Death.Fun. It's how you start the innovation so that more things can roll on chain, because it starts with the easier things. And I just think that sort of thing, and then you listen to what Luke is saying, it's like, we are going to see it. We are going to see these proper and we're seeing better incentive structures. We're seeing Rec doing wave marketing. We're seeing, Claynosaurs doing soulbound tokens that come with refunds that incentivize people with an actual closed loop on the end of the incentive structure, and not the incentive structure just continues. So I think like it's interesting and it's moving in the right direction.
So last thing too, and I know I'm jumping back and forth here, so take it to hands and appreciate everyone bearing with us. MetaEth just sent me an NFT, Steve, by tagging my handle from BankerBot. I've never interacted with BankerBot, but you can do this now because I've interacted with Privy. So by simply like, think about that. Like they sent me an NFT by tagging my X account and tagging BankerBot to send me the name of the NFT and the number. It's wild, man.
Yeah,
Privy really changed the game. Like, they really crushed it this cycle, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of those business studies on those case studies on Privy, because they weren't first to market. They came in 21, and man, they earned every dollar I think Stripe acquired them for.
Yeah, well, let's do this. I know we have about 5 minutes until Ryan comes on or so. Maybe we'll kick him in 5 to 10.
Thank you for the NFT, by the way. Appreciate it.
The what?
Just Meta 8. Thank you for the NFT.
Oh, got it. Let's get Jack in here real quick, and then we got to do market update, more you know. Although we could also do those at 9:30 after we, if the interview kind of wraps by then. But Jack, go ahead and get in here, and then we'll go to our probably more you know, and then maybe market update right in there.
Yeah, no, to your point, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Whale dropped a post earlier saying how he has just had a bunch of different conversations with a lot of Web2 entertainment brands, literally like over the past couple of weeks. The post is from today though. So when we're talking it's a matter of time before a big brand comes into the space. I think it's a lot more than that. Like, I think it's it's so much more than that. And I think they've even watched, the referenceable brands that we used earlier, Starbucks, Nike, I'd throw Gucci in the ring as well, as how not to enter the space, or at least how to understand that, long term, there's a way to do this. And it also, there's an OSF post about it today, literally the same thing. So you guys are on the same wavelength as the rest of the creators and builders in this space. But his big thing is can these brands even do it? Can these brands even come in? If you had a brand coin that wasn't wrecked, that was launched, how likely are you to, I think this was basically the consensus that OSF was trying to come to on the timeline. How likely are you to switch a rec token right now? Is there any traditional brand you would do that for, where you would have faith that they are going to make the same moves and they're going to bring their community along the way, the same way that OSF is with Rect? And I think the answer, at least for me, is definitely no. And I think history sort of dictates that. So yeah, just a couple of articles that are floating around right now today, just very much in line with what you guys are talking about. And really enjoying the conversation.
I don't know. I think Rect is a anomaly in a lot of ways. To me, as far as the brand coin goes, I am not bullish on brand coins as a general use case for people for brands that are not like crypto native brands. I am bullish on NFTs. I see Von Frunton saying can be a great funding mechanism, can bring utility and community debt with them. So teams should go in eyes wide open. That's why you set expectations going into it. What are you going to provide? Why are you going to provide? What are the, incentive loops look like? And at some point, we will not be in this point where that's the problem.
I'm curious why don't you think a brand coin works as a loyalty rewards program? Why couldn't I also agree with,
because I don't think go ahead. Sorry.
I think that big Web2 trad businesses many will struggle, especially if they don't come in the right way, probably having some crypto natives on the team to do it. But can't you apply? Yes, it's much easier said than done, but poke holes in the model, the Rect brand coin model, how they're doing it with the Dragon points. Why wouldn't that work for other loyalty programs?
I just don't think that Starbucks wants to introduce a coin to 56-year-old soccer, 46-year-old soccer moms that goes up and down violently as they hold it in there, when they could just have a stable coin, earn yield on that, and have that same sort of advantage of the easy crypto payments, money's in, money's out, earn a yield on it on both ends, help your customers. I don't see why you would want a brand coin there. There might be some instances where people want that. I don't see why anybody would want, people don't want volatile assets. Human beings don't want volatile assets.
Fair for the users. I think where it works is for these startups to get out there and compete with the Starbucks, the Red Bulls of the world, right? Rect has a phenomenal marketing budget that doesn't happen if they that's been created by going this route. And I think the bigger brands, they don't necessarily need that per se. I get it. Yeah, stablecoin probably makes more sense, but I think it's twofold. One, it springboards and it creates this incredible marketing budget, but then also it does vest those earliest supporters, those early users and consumers that then they get, even if they're not a investor in the sense of they're going to buy an asset to get a stake in this brand, by getting rewarded a token that you were one of the first customers, and then that token goes up in value. I think that can
but why wouldn't you use an NFT instead? I think a coin and a token is like consumers don't want coins and tokens. They don't want shit coins. And it's like a brand coin. That's just like general consumers are not interested in this market the same way they're not interested in the meme coin market. Like they're just not interested in this market. I think NFTs as a brand anchor, or even using a Kaido-like leaderboard as a sort of brand controller that allows you to distribute something, whether it's rewards or prizes that actually have, again, a closed incentive loop makes sense. I don't think 99% of go to if I go to my 11-year-old's travel soccer game and I say, hey, who wants a shit coin from Starbucks? The answer is nobody. If I'm like, hey, who wants something from Starbucks that you hold that gets you a bunch of free stuff down the line, or if you talk about them more, you can get free coffee. They're like, well, that sounds awesome. I think what's works with consumers is not going to be brand coins. I think it has to be a very specific brand for a brand coin to work, or it has to be a staple. Like that's just, I think like we just need to be honest about what true consumers want. And sometimes I think we sort of assign our weirdo views in the world of crypto, which is great. I love being here, to other human beings who are not us. And I just think that it is not as, I don't think it's as approachable. Let's do this. I'm going to hit More You Know by ENS. I know we got to do a market update. Ryan, if you're out there, feel free to request up or jump in. I know I got the spaces linked to you this morning, so it should be good, but you can always jump on video as well. And if not, we'll get you in another time this week. But let's hit More You Know by ENS.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the More You Know, brought to you by ENS. And I talked a little bit about Sony and its official blockchain, Sonium. It's Ethereum Layer 2 that launched in January 2025. Born from Sony Block Solution Labs, built using Optimism's OP stacks, the network was preceded by a testnet that saw over 47 million transactions and 14 million wallets, setting the stage for scalable, low-cost, Ethereum-secure environment ideal for NFTs, gaming, entertainment, and tokenized real-world assets. Sony has already partnered with Astar and Startdale for infrastructure, Line to integrate mini apps spanning 200 million users, and Plume to tokenize treasuries and private credit. So sort of trying to do it all and enter the blockchain game. And in a significant recent move, Sony Innovation Fund, backed by an incubator program, introduced Sonium for All. I mentioned it earlier, but launched in June 2025. Goal is to accelerate Web3 gaming and consumer startups and support their networks with grants, membership, and pipeline access. With a current ecosystem of 7 million users, over $215 million in TVL, and over 1.5 million daily transactions, Sonium is positioning itself as an entertainment-centric blockchain for the future. And that was the More You Know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchor your name across Web3, but anchoring across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains. Go to ens.domains to secure or more and secure your ENS domain today. And Cap, the only reason I brought that one up is I just think it's one of those examples of something that happened a week ago that we didn't even talk about, didn't even hit our radar. And it seems to be a relatively big deal. So I just want to throw that out there. I know we got daily market update as well, so I don't know if we want to roll right into that or if we want to hit anything else first.
We can get it.
Cool.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on ApeChain, we bring in the heat. NFTs, fence alpha, never miss a beat. ApeChain on top, now we bring in the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, but every time, when you want the time, we chop for one time.
And it's time for the daily market update powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs. ApeChain has it all, bringing culture, fun, and community to the blockchain. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. Cap.
Yes, I was looking for a different chart because I have to find one that is showing Hyperliquid continuing to crush. Hype hit their all-time high today, up 10% on the day, $44.44. I think that's a lucky number or something. So I'm not even joking. Like my morning post to my in real life friend group of investors, a lot of, TradFi guys and real estate guys. And I said, if you're the second time in a week, I said, if you're in coin, because I knew several of them are, consider rotating to Hood I think Robinhood is that's another conversation we might circle back to later today or tomorrow. But Perps on Robinhood is going to Gwart had a pretty funny post out there over the weekend. But anyways, back to the update here. SPX Morag coins also up double digits on the day, up 16% to $1.63. Not sure what AB is or Caspa. Uniswap up 8.99% to $7.82. Aerodrome also up 6%. That is the leading DEX on base. Gonna jump over to this tab now, that the Mintify tab, looking at the Coinbase 50. Bitcoin up 2% to 106,859. ETH up 4% to $2,610. XRP up to 226. That's up 4% on the day. Solana up 7% to 155. Doge up a percent. Cardano up 3%. I think Charles Hoskinson, I saw, is looking to follow Sailor in swapping out Cardano for Bitcoin for their treasury. I also saw Sailor, I think, purchase another 10,000 Bitcoin. Runes, we don't talk about them, but it looks like a green day. Runes not ruined in June. Congratulations, Runes holders, if you're still out there. We hit on most of these already, but again, SPX leading the way. Fartcoin up 5% as well. Trump up 1%. Pepe up 2%. Shiba up 2%. Doge up 1%. And scrolling up to the NFTs here, we've got Mutants up 1% of the day to 1.88. Pudgy's down almost 1% to 9.09. Punks 44 ETH. Apes flat at 11.97. Project Aeon, this is tied to the XPX, so it usually runs in lockstep with that. Doodle's back up over 1 ETH, 7.4. Steve and I were kicking ourselves for not selling at 1.1 last week, so maybe we get that chance again. Bull Run says on Arbitrum, I'm guessing it's not connected to the Infinex Bull Run, but Pudgy's also up 1% to 1.13. And that's our daily market update brought to you by ApeCoin. You know what? While we're here, I do want to go look at I want to go look at the Ghost Machine. Yeah, 8.6 ape, 40% increase in the last day. This minted for one ape-ish, about one ape. 56,000 ape in volume in the last day, 4,400 sales, just absolutely crushing it over there. And I think the idea of, if you haven't seen Betty's post, the idea of some of these larger collections, more accessible price point, and the ability to collect. We saw this with Hopkins. We're seeing it with Ghost Machine, and you can have fun. NFT collections can be successful. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 10 ETH floor price. And again, just wanted to call some attention to that. Congrats to the Deadfellas team, and very successful hype mint going well over on ApeChain.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. Like, honestly, like, again, this is what I'm curious to see as I think we're slowly maturing. And again, the examples that go to me, I mean, you talk about that, you talk about, the Rect Wave marketing, the way that they have, again, a actual closed incentive loop, something that you don't see very often. It was something and it's top of mind because I was talking about it with Scott over the weekend. Like, him and I, have a couple calls a week. And yesterday we were talking about it. It's like a lot of these incentive loops are left open where it's like, stake this to burn this to get this. Okay, now you're going to get this token and then this token, but stay on this hamster wheel because then you're going to get this thing. And they're not, they are, first of all, they're zero sum, which makes it like hard because, right, it's like you get a token and at that point you're probably selling the token. Or B, they don't have really a closed loop. And I think like the way that Rect works, for example, it's like you buy the NFT, they incentivize you with abstract point, OpenSea points, and the actual like Rect airdrop you're getting. You get those things, loop closed, done, and then you get the drinks, loop closed on product, and then you move on to the next one, and you continue to do it in a very normal way, but you're using crypto in a way that only crypto can be used. They're unique in how their brand coin works. They have different incentive mechanisms that you can get on the different platforms they work with. So I think like seeing that continue to evolve is something I'm super interested in. And I'm interested to see how those continue to grow. But I don't know. Like, I know we got another 5 minutes till Glyph. Maybe we miss Ryan. I'll kind of hit him up and see if he wants to jump on maybe another day this week to talk. But yeah, man, those were like the top of mind things for me. I will say like the other thing that probably is worth a longer conversation. We should probably get Serpent back on the show. I feel like Ethos has been going through it a little bit. So like for people who don't know, like initially Ethos had the validators issue. So Ethos, first they had the we cut your scores issue, and they cut everyone's scores by like 1,000 points, and people got demotivated. Cap mentioned that's when he got demotivated and stopped using it as much.
I'm back though. I'm on a 2 or 3 day streak now, so they've sucked me back in.
So they sucked you back in. Then they had the validator distribution, where they said they gave it to their top, whatever it was, 250 people. I don't remember the exact number. And then when I looked at those numbers, they didn't have a really clear answer for why people who aren't using the platform at all were getting them. And it turns out maybe they were some investors early on, and they were very opaque about that. There are people I know who didn't get the drops that they were expecting on there. So that wasn't great. So they weren't getting there were people who were in that list who didn't get validators, and there's some who got 2. So that wasn't a great look, and that happened. Now, and this was like the interesting one, probably for a longer conversation down the line, but we saw that the Ethos had one of their like early adopters and maybe even investors slashed the Song a Day guy when he came out with a coin. The slash didn't go well. So a slash is when you like try to kill someone's reputation by saying like, this person I'm taking a stance on, I'm putting money against it, and I believe it, and it went to the other side. You actually had Serpent coming out and almost encouraging people to slash him against, to actually support sort of their early investor and their early user, whatever it was. And they're trying not to get this person to have their Ethos take a hit and have their sort of score take a hit. But it feels like tinkering with the system and playing favoritism, right? It's like the idea, if you're like a nature photographer, you're not supposed to interject and save the buffalo from getting attacked, or the bison from getting attacked by the cheetah or whatever. You're not supposed to save the cute animal that's getting attacked by the thing, right? That's part of it. And so I guess like Ethos just seems to like, it has a really cool opportunity with the reputation layer, but it seems like there are some things that are less than, and I don't think intentionally so, but less than ideal being done. And something that's based on reputation, I feel like you want to be hyper careful about how you handle that stuff. So I don't know. The Ethos thing is a whole nother discussion to go into. But Ryan, I see you popped up. I know we have probably in the next couple of minutes here, Glyph coming on from Yuga, but wanted to give you a little bit of or Glyph coming on with a Yuga representative to talk about it. Wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what it is you're building. I got involved over the last week as I was checking out some ApeChain NFTs, but I feel like, you're deep in the ApeChain ecosystem. So first of all, give a quick intro about what you do within the ApeChain ecosystem, and then let's get into what you're building.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Steve. GM. Cap, thanks for having me. Love the show and just appreciate the time. So I'm Ryan. You probably know me from the ApeChain daily updates. So similarly to how you guys do just the stats and the data that Cap just did around the ecosystem, I kind of do a nightly report on that for ApeChain. So I cover all the ongoing and upcoming NFT mints, the top NFT projects and their price trends, how the top meme coins are doing on ApeCoin and stuff like that. So heavily involved in that. But then, just locked in with the community. So building, now a project a day on ApeChain just to kind of show what types of apps are possible now that we have a permissionless blockchain to join, and show off some of those cool technologies like Glyph. So over the past, week, we've released a Word with Friends Scrabble clone on Web3 Rails. We've released a little blockchain style quiz that matches you up with your quote unquote soulmate. So one of the Cool Kicks LA inventory shoes, and then allows you to mint an NFT based on that. And then, a few other things as well. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me, but happy to share a little bit about what we're building with Nostalgic Studios and the Shadow Games as well.
Yeah, hit on that a little bit, because I think and we can do some ApeChain stuff as well, but hit on that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. So, I think y'all were actually kind of talking about it. I think there's very natural ways we're seeing people onboard broader audiences into crypto without selling them a meme coin or saying, hey, go mint this other NFT PFP project. And, we're seeing it with consumer product goods, with Rec. We're seeing it with more collectible experiences like BZ, or, even Deadfellows is an NFT project trying to be more of a collectible thing with their Good Morning thing they just released. And I've always felt like the Web3 ecosystem in particular is very discovery is always generated by like a TGE event, right? So the only reason anybody like within crypto goes to check out an app is because they're financially incentivized to do so, right? But the first airdrops that were most powerful in my eyes were like the ENS airdrop, where we woke up one day with 5 figures in our wallets just because we had been using a protocol for 6 months that, we believed was a new form of decentralized identity, would kind of revolutionize DNS, et cetera. And then we got rewarded for that incentive. So, over the past few years, I feel like all of this is broken a little bit. So Nostalgic Studios wanted to bring a closed ecosystem to ApeChain that facilitated onboarding through gamified rails. And what I mean by that is we're building a RPG. You'll have a character that you take around the blockchain. And as you are writing reviews on Ethos, as you are minting an NFT project on ApeChain, as you are trading on clutch markets or doing parlays and things like that, these will be wrapped in gamified quests that we build with the partners. And you'll get basically XP points, be able to evolve your character. But then we'll use ApeCoin itself within this closed ecosystem for burns, staking, purchasing of modules and products and things like that to kind of keep money within the ecosystem versus bouncing around project to project.
No, love that. That's and like I love the fact that you're building with the community. Like sort of, it wasn't like you came out and you're like, hey, I'm picking like sort of, I think a lot of people when they're trying to build something, it feels inorganic because they build on a chain because they get a grant or because they're like, hey, like who wants me to build on their chain? You're building on a chain that feels like home. And I've noticed in the group, a lot of people who are in that group are people who really do like, I guess, like talk about the aspect of like in this sort of community you've built, I guess, like you have, I got, you put me in that private chat and I'm like, it's kind of a who's who of sort of ApeChain. Does it feel nice to actually be recognized by the sort of leadership and the people within the sort of within your community, that it's like this isn't just like you're not being ignored by the people who are at the top, like they recognize the value you bring and they're interested in being involved. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely legends in that chat, but it's less about it being the leaders, right? Like it's not about it being Quid at who does the infrastructure and things like that. It's about, I think, builders who like aren't in it for the flip. Like, yes, I think a few people got, there's only 113 of this initial release that we did. They're kind of like our beta group. They get access to every expansion that we release within the platform and things like that. But the reason why I think a lot of people bought is because it's not a flip. It's not an NFT PFP. Like we'll have a PFP, but it's not something that was a quick flip, right? So everybody that bought in believed that we were building something bigger, right? And we're willing to come on this journey with me over, the next 6 months as we get kind of these first platform releases out and stick with it, right? And that's powerful to me, is that there was 113 people who paid a little higher mint price and are willing to stick in a community because they believe in the vision. So yeah, it means a lot that it's certain people in there, and ApeChain leadership and people like you, Steve, and people that show up every day in the space and contribute. And I think that says a lot. But it's really about their trust in, buying something in this space that's not going to immediately lead to a 10x for them, right? I think will be much more than a 10x long run for them, but I think that's powerful because so much liquidity in this space is geared towards short-term value accumulation rather than kind of long-term value accumulation in the space.
Awesome. Well, I love it. And I love the way you're thinking about it. And I mean, just a good example of somebody who is thoughtful, who's careful, who cares, who is a good community member, and who, is doing things, I think, the right way. It's not you jumped in and you saw an opportunity. It's like you've provided a ton of value. People saw that value. You had an idea based on participating in the community, and now you're executing on it, and love to see it. So anything we didn't hit on before we move on to Glyph with the Yuga folks, Ryan, you're welcome to stick around for that as well. But any other thing maybe we didn't hit on that you wanted to make sure you got across?
Sure. I mean, if you want to join the community, there are a few Shadow Games Challenge coins available. Like I said, there's not super many on secondary, but would love to have people hop in, build with us, and come on this journey. And then, I just encourage people to just do things. Like I think we've seen this a lot with the DAO conversation around ApeChain, around people waiting to kind of see, what's going to happen, how the bricks fall and all of that. One of the great things that I think we have with ApeChain is a very cheap, expressive blockchain with a lot of infrastructure like Glyph that make it super easy to build engaging consumer products. So if you have an idea, if you want something on chain, just go do it. Like that, we live in a permissionless world, and I think people forget the permissionless part a lot. So those would just be my final words: is just go build things that you think are interesting, and if people also think they're interesting, they'll rally behind you and those products. And I think that's how we grow, as a community. So, but yeah, appreciate the little bit of time today, Steve and Cap, and excited to hear the Glyph conversation. It's a really dope wallet that I've integrated in everything I've done so far here on ApeChain.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. We also had Mesh was asking where to find the daily ApeChain update. I did pin the one from the 14th up top. Is it just give you a follow on X? Is there a landing page or a site, or is it your essentially it is your post here on X? Is that the best?
Yeah, the daily ApeChain updates are my post on X. I did our latest experiment that we just pushed out last night was an ApeChain media hub, which allows people to publish any type of content on ApeChain, whether it be blogs or videos and stuff. So I might start publishing them on there, but right now, yeah, the best place to follow the ApeChain daily updates are my profile.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely check out Ryan if you haven't. I love that Mesh and others are now going to check that out. If we just get even a few people to run over and check out Ryan's daily update, I think that's huge. And it's it is a true value add to the ecosystem and somebody who is really deep in the ecosystem, and you see him on the timeline. And I love that. And I don't know. I like people that go all in on community. I like people that go all in on certain things and actually dive in and care. And you can smell authenticity. It's funny because somebody mentioned when I posted about Newton this morning, it's a farm. I'm like, I don't talk about anything that makes me any money on the Kaido leaderboard. So I thought this was interesting, and that's why I talked about it. And I think, I'm not one to say this is the new revolutionary thing and be like, what is it? Right. I still didn't know what Infinex was halfway into the, whatever season it was when they were distributing all the money. It's just, use things you like. And I think Ryan, found a home on ApeChain, and sometimes you can find a community just by participating. It's what Cap and I did in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and it worked out really well for us. And, people sometimes, were like, why do you say best club on the internet? It's well, because we had a great experience with it, because we dove all in and we didn't go in expecting to extract. We went in expecting to grow. So, and contribute. That said, let's do this. We're going to do ApeChain Architects. We're going to bring up Jameson. We're going to talk a little bit of Glyph. It's time for the ApeChain Architect segment, brought to you by ApeChain, the home of NFTs, bringing culture and community to the blockchain. And I'm excited to have you on stage. Dope Mutant, obviously. Before we get into the sort of entirety of like Glyph and what they do, we've been glazing Glyph for a couple of weeks now, actually much longer than that. Would love to get a little bit of your background as much as you can share it as a sort of full-time employee over at Yuga.
Yeah, for sure. Well, GM, good to be here. Good to start my day like this. Good to start a Monday like this. So happy to be here. I've been at Yuga for over a year now. I originally kind of came in and was focused on product and engineering. Been on the workshop team. If you know about the workshop team, I'm sure you've covered it, but it's originally was the emerging products team, but it's kind of a team of engineers and product minded people that are trying to execute and build cool stuff and hopefully do it at a quick pace and see what has a good product market fit. Before Yuga, I've done a little bit of everything. Been in kind of agency services and engineering for over a decade, but I did get to work on something. My first introduction into, honestly, the Yuga community was getting to work on the Ape Fest, the Hong Kong Ape Fest, for that takeover wall experience. If you remember what that, if you were there in Hong Kong, you could fill out a form and you could, write your message. You could be there even if you couldn't make it to Hong Kong. So I think I kind of fell in love with the community after that, because as a builder, oftentimes when you build things, people will say, "Oh, that's cool." To see hundreds and hundreds of people post to the timeline and get to really enjoy that experience, it kind of, lit a fire in me a little bit. I said, I have to work. I got to work here with Yuga, and I got to do more of this type of thing. And I just think that that's a testament to how strong the community is and how much they make even building enjoyable, because people actually use what you build. So yeah, I started at Yuga in April of 2024. No, yeah, yeah. Time goes by pretty quickly. But yeah, and I've been working on things. The thing I worked on first was helping support the launch of ApeChain with Bam and Clive and Spencer and a lot of great folks there, and Caldera and Off-Chain Labs. And while supporting that, also getting to work on the Ape portal. So make sure that we had a official bridge for ApeChain. And so that was kind of my first introduction, first 6 months at Yuga, and it was really enjoyable and brought challenges, but new things. So that's kind of my background at Yuga.
It's fascinating to me that Yuga has an emerging products team in an emerging market. Like, it's funny thinking about like how you have to stay on the cutting edge of that. Cause I know when I've worked at large companies, these large multinational companies often have innovation sort of wings in order to make sure that they don't fall behind, that they stay ahead of the curve, that they aren't, letting themselves get lapped by startups and new companies. But thinking of it in Yuga is almost kind of a funny context, because you're like, this is an emerging company building emerging products. How do you distinguish when you're at Yuga what an emerging product is versus like what an existing? Is it just like the core, the other side, BAYC, are the core products? Like, what is that? How do you make that sort of distinction?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's no secret that just BAYC and other side are the core pillars of Yuga and the major focus. For the emerging products, Yuga is, an emerging startup, like you said, but I think they're trying to, we are trying to look at the market, not just the Web3 market, but kind of even the Web2 market, and try to think what can we bring to on chain that will really surprise and delight people. And usually I would call those more emerging products because they may have a shorter lifespan, or they may turn into a product that's maintained for a long time. And it's kind of like, what is the market's reaction? And I think we have a little bit more flexibility to execute at speed and make decisions, in a way that's not, there's no bureaucracy. And I think that's what makes it more faster to get to market. And that's, Top Trader was a emerging product from the workshop, if you remember that one. And that was a pretty fun experience. And yeah, just kind of seeing what works.
That makes sense. It's interesting just because, like, yeah, like hearing that distinction and kind of how you think about it is is fun. Now, did this Glyph, now let's get into Glyph a little bit. Did Glyph and the connection to create this wallet, did this come from the emerging products, or is this like, hey, this is a new initiative that you're shifted over to, and then talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, it originally came from, well, we were all in New York City and in June of 2024, and that was a great time with the workshop team. And we were talking about, hey, we really need a federated ID system. And one of the complaints, I guess, of the community, or maybe not complaints, but feedback of the community was, hey, we have to make a lot of different logins. And so we thought, let's make something here. And so Yuga ID actually came out of the workshop. It was something, it wasn't like something that was in the works for 3 years. It was, it was something that we put together very quickly. And then after putting it together, which you could have used it on the Other Side hub, on launch.other side, and other experiences made by apes, we said, we think that this is good, but this was such an MVP. So one of the things with launching really quickly is you're just kind of launching MVPs and seeing how it's received. So we need to push this further. And so, yeah, it started from the workshop as Yuga ID. And then we knew that we needed to take it further. And one of the things that we knew is, after ApeChain launched, it was people were excited. People were using Ape Express and people were having a good time. But how do we make onboarding even easier? And we thought that there was an opportunity to, make some feature improvements with Yuga ID and rebrand that as a product that could really help bring people on chain. And so that's kind of where the origins of Glyph is, actually a rebrand from Yuga ID, and then a lot of feature improvements, as you can see. I mean, it's completely different. That the technology behind it is also different. So Yuga ID was using Auth0 with other things, and now we're using, as you can see, we have our own SDK wrapped around Privy.
Not to get too technical, Onward, but what does that look like for? Because I assume it's easy. Super easy to use, very well done from the end user standpoint. I've mentioned many times on these F1 posters, it's you go from 0 to creating an account and having your collectible in 2 or 3 clicks. How does it work for the builders? Is it if they're building on ApeChain and they want to incorporate Glyph, is it just simply that? Can they do that working with the ApeChain team? Do they need to also work with Privy? What is it? Can you speak to cost structure, or what does that even look like from someone else? I want to build on ApeChain. I need a consumer wallet. I'm going to use Glyph. What does that look like? Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Well, anybody can use the SDK. You don't need to contact us or contact the Ape Foundation or the ApeChain team. Anybody can. You can go to docs.useglyph.io and you can jump right in as an engineer. And there's multiple ways to use Glyph. So Privy offers this cross-app ecosystem, and you can enable Glyph as an authentication option. So there's different paths. And so depending on what you want to use Glyph for. So the majority of on-chain apps on ApeChain that are going to use Glyph, they already have their own, Web3 auth, and they probably already have their own database and, their own onboarding, and they might just want to enable Glyph as an option via, Rainbow Kit or something. And so it just really depends on your use case, but I just say, go to the docs, just check it out. It's you could go multiple paths. If you did want to go down the cross app ecosystem path, you have to create a Privy account, but Privy is free for up to 1,000 monthly active users. And the way that they calculate monthly active users is you actually have to have a transaction that month. So I found that for
a blockchain transaction.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I believe I'm getting that right, but yeah, so Privy's great. And so I'm just saying that you can use Glyph free. Nobody is trying to make money. The goal of this product is not to make money. The goal of this product is to bring users to ApeChain and really create a seamless onboarding experience and enable builders to get up and running really quickly and bring an existing user base with them. If I already have a Glyph account and I go to shout out Foxy Fam, I go and want to play, I can just sign in. I know how this works because I've used it before, and I can sign in as a user, and I already have my balance and all my information, and get up and running really quickly. So for builders, we try to make it really flexible and say, there's no one way to do this. One thing that we found it can be problematic about some of these SDKs is that they're, I mean, I guess you could say this is good or bad, but if they're too opinionated, it removes optionality for the builder to integrate how they want to. So we're not finished there. There's still more options that we want to provide on the SDK side of things, but that's kind of how you can get up and running for free.
Talk about like when you have like a wallet options and integrations like that. Like, so obviously this is like a massive, massive opportunity for normal people. Like you said, it replaced Yuga ID. I like that idea of replacing Yuga ID with something that's almost like sort of nameless, faceless. It's just you use it like the internet that's recognizable today. What is that like for Yuga when you're having conversations with people who are maybe non-Web3 native?
Yeah. I think that, non-Web3 native, I think that one thing that the ApeChain team has done a really great job of is creating culture. And they are able to do that, with these partnerships with F1, Cool Kicks, and create relationships, like real relationships with these companies or people. One person, Illa, who's amazing at that, and kind of try to explain Web3 in a way that's not overwhelming. We are all so used to crypto Twitter and Web3 and blockchain, and I think we're so close to it that we kind of forget, when you take a step back, that most normal people, or most people, everyday people, do not know what that is still. And even if you try to say, crypto or blockchain, they maybe know Bitcoin, they maybe know Doge, maybe Fartcoin now, but they don't really know, like, well, how do I even get to that? It feels so far away. And, up until this year, I mean, account abstraction has gotten significantly better. The technology has got, like, basically opened the doors to onboard the masses. And so now you just have to really execute on that. But I think that the conversations are just really trying to, have this outreach program where we're reaching out and thinking about, like, we can deliver a cool experience and bring your brand to ApeChain. And your customers won't even know that they're on ApeChain, but they are. And that's really cool to be able, you actually have an NFT. Maybe you didn't know that, but you do. And that's what Formula One was able to execute on. So, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no. I was just saying, I think that's about it on that one.
Yeah, the ease of access for the Formula One, it's not just for those of us here. And I saw some people like, well, how do I connect my wallets? I think like that would be the question. How do you see this playing? Is there a downside of the Web2-esque interface in the world of all of us crypto natives, where we're accustomed to our existing wallets? And like, do you see any issues with that? What would you recommend for someone? I like all my stuff in one place. Now I've connected an X account. I've got a new wallet. I played a little around with the profile to make some of those connections. But do you see any drawbacks there, or any advice for those that want all their stuff in their existing hot wallet or their mini wallet or whatever they're familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that we wanted to go down the simplest way to get onto ApeChain and to kind of create this wallet, but we also knew that we're all degens, we're all Web3 natives. We all have our, like, maybe you're using Rabby, maybe you still use MetaMask. For what it's worth, I still use MetaMask. But Glyph will be able to solve a lot of those problems with wallet linking and delegation. And there's some features that we can talk about today that will make this more powerful, so that maybe if you're like, hey, I have my own way of doing things, it's like, well, you can still use Glyph and you can still do all of those things with Glyph and still link your wallet. So, you can do token gated things. So the goal is to continue to add features and enhance Glyph so that it really doesn't feel that different in ways. It still is approachable, right? But it doesn't feel like it's like limited where I can't do the things that I could do with my other wallets.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And I think like it just gets me really excited when I think about how far we've come, yet it still feels like it is still so much like just the foundational layers have been set. I think back to like, myself and Steve, we both found Web3 by way of NBA Top Shot, and it was an email login, right? It was the first crypto wallet I have. I to this day don't even know what the wallet address is, don't even know how I can access it other than by way of that Gmail. And if anything were ever to happen to that Gmail, I don't know. I guess my entire Top Shot collection is gone. I'm sure there's a way to go get my private keys, but I've never figured it out, or I've never went down that path to actually do it with Glyph and in the simple, dashboard or profile, whatever. Pretty easy to, I guess much easier, I should say, than where we initially. But like I said, I share that example because that was back in January of 2021, and it really was. I feel like we almost went a little bit backwards on the ease of tech standpoint to get to this point, to where now it's, I've said it a few times, I think Privy is one of the big winners of this cycle, and behind the scenes making a lot of this stuff not just able to use, but it's just so much. I don't even know the words I'm looking for. So much really is looks and feels like a Web2 user interface. It looks and feels like everything we've been accustomed to, every single sign-on we've used in the past, and to unlock all the functionality that blockchain tech does behind the scenes. I think it's going to kind of to tie into our conversation earlier this morning about whether it's a second NFT wave or another brand coin season. I believe it's stuff like, it's products like Glyph, it's consumer friendly wallets like this. I think this is partially a reason why some of the brands like Nike and Starbucks and some of the bigger brands that entered this space, last cycle, didn't stick because of some of this friction that it took to getting their massive consumer bases in this world. That that friction is now all but eliminated for most intents and purposes. Like that friction that we've all experienced, all these big brands experience, it just doesn't exist anymore if they're using something like Glyph. So well done on behalf of not just those of us here, but I think the space at large. This is what may not be the most exciting thing. Your wallet's not going to 10x by us talking about a wallet today. Your portfolio balance, your wallet's not going to 10x, I should say. But it really is this stuff, I think, that is so important for this next wave, right? To push this space forward. And I hope you've all at least taken a minute to reflect and pat yourselves in the back a little bit, because while we knew some stuff was coming with ApeChain, until I actually went and used Glyph myself and experienced, like, wow, this is silky smooth. So congrats, well done. And I think this is one of the really big deals that we're probably not going to talk about a lot today, but I think when 5 years from now we look back and reflect, I think things like Glyph and Privy are going to be looked at as like that was a massive mechanism to onboard the next big wave of users.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely want to shout out Shubham, Deanna, Antonio, and Rust, and also PP Man, right, for all their hard work on Glyph. Takes a team to make something. And yeah, the whole like wallet 10x comment. What I'd love though, what our goal would be is like, how about we 10x the engineers that are using Glyph and building on-chain apps on ApeChain. Like that is the success metric. And so, yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions that's listening and wants to use Glyph and even just needs like a little bit of guidance, DM me, reach out to us. We're here to help, bring more builders onto ApeChain, and then, which that in turn uses, creates more experiences and more users on ApeChain.
It's a good question. We should know this to be able to direct people, not just for users and participants, but for builders in ApeChain. Where is it? Appreciate the offer. They can reach out. They can DM you. We've got obviously ApeChain Hub is a great place for support. We've got the portal. There's the ApeChain Telegram. Is there a specific spot that builders should they want to make sure that they're a part of a sub community or anything, that if they are building, make sure you're in this group or this community?
There is an ApeChain builders Telegram, and Alak, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's DevRel at ApeChain, is a great person to reach out to if you have questions. There's a few other ways. The actual docs for ApeChain, docs.apechain.com, those will get better and over time, and those are living and breathing things, right? So those will get better, and we'll have ways to really engage with the developer community and kind of make it feel more like a community where you can get some supported. So if you have a question about something, you don't feel like, hey, I guess I gotta DM one person, I think this is who I should talk to. You just said that, like, there's so many channels and pathways to talk to somebody, but it's almost like that can become overwhelming. You don't know what's the right way to talk to somebody. So we'll make sure that the pathways to this builder community are really accessible and clear. And these docs will continue to update. So
really impressive. A lot of information here for builders. Make sure, if you've not already, go bookmark the docs.apechain.com if you're a builder. A lot of good information here. I completely not relevant. That has nothing to do with this conversation. But it's the first time I've seen run a node. Can you give me like the Cliff Notes, the TLDR, the elevator pitch on why I would want to look into running a node for ApeChain?
That is a really great question. To be honest with you, I don't have the exact answer on what the reason would be that you'd want to run a node, but I'd say Quit could answer that. There's obvious benefits to it, and obviously it supports ApeChain as a whole. And I'm sure that there's some financial incentive, on the chain side of things. But yeah, I'd want Quit or Alak to talk about that. And why what are the benefits there?
Fair. Apologies for the curveball.
No, you're great.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Before we let you get out of here, because I think good conversation about this is how we grow. This is how adoption happens. We talk about it. One of the biggest issues we run into is the lack of, consumer tools. In fact, we talked about it this morning. I constantly feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I explain to people what consumers really want versus what we think they want, because we assume consumers are just crypto people, but in real life, they're just waiting to be onboarded. It's no, most consumers are not like crypto people and have a completely different sense of sensibility. So this is an example of something that makes a lot of sense. Any other teasers you can give us about anything? You don't have to dive in too deep. I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but anything coming down the pike or anything else that you see from, partnerships or anything that jumps out at you. And I don't want to put you in a bad spot, so feel free to just tell me, kick sand, Steve, but any other things that we maybe could be looking forward to in the ApeChain side towards that? Because I am, I'm personally excited about seeing that directional movement.
Yeah, I can speak to a little bit of our roadmap and what we're working on. And in terms of ApeChain and partnerships, I think that team has just been executing on all levels. And so I would say that, I'm sure there'll be something coming up. But on the Glyph side of things, NFT support, that's the first thing that's going to be coming very, very soon. You have these Formula One posters. Where can I look at them? And then also I have an ApeChain balance in Glyph. What tier 1 exchanges can I go, use Glyph on? I want to buy and are mint an NFT on Blevr, I want to be able to use Glyph. These are the types of things that are coming very, very soon. So bringing, a lot more utility to Glyph and the Glyph dashboard. But, there's other things like we talked about earlier, Captain, you mentioned, the ability to get your private keys, and then later tooling updates like, utilizing smart wallets and our documentation around account abstraction and gas sponsorship. So like that Web 2 like experience that you mentioned is going to be the future, not just on ApeChain, on every single on-chain app. That's what it's going to be. Gas is going to be sponsored, maybe not on mainnet, but on other chains. And that's just kind of going to be the web experience. And I say web experience because maybe at some point we'll drop the 3, right? Maybe that this is just the web experience, and it's the preferred web experience. When you see amazing news like Stripe acquiring Privy, shout out to Privy team, they're just amazing, an amazing team. But then just all the news around stable coins, and you just can see this future kind of coming together. But like Captain said, we are still at this early foundation. So what a better time to build than now. And we're going to keep adding new features and shipping new features, and you'll be able to do more with Glyph in a lot of different ways.
Love that. Well, look, thanks for jumping through this morning on this bright and early Monday morning. We appreciate it. And I think really, we said it before, but I'll just kind of double tap on it. This is how we grow as a space. And I think the missing elements of Web3 are the ones that actually make it familiar to Web2. And too often we are ignoring those because we think that people are going to come to us versus us making it easy for them. I see Machiavelli popped up. So Machiavelli, if you have actually a question, feel free to jump in here with that before we let on.
Yes, sir. I do. Thank you for having me up. My question is kind of like odd, or what are we doing? Like, can we take Glyph and go sell it to these Web2 experiences and bring them on ApeChain? Like, is that possible right now with the way that the configure is set up?
What do you mean by sell it to them? Like just to try to get other brands?
Okay, let's just say we have fucking GameStop, and we have GameStop out here, and they have their rewards program and stuff like that. And be like, yo, we would like to bring you guys on chain utilizing Gift. Can we incorporate Gift into your software or whatever? And then kind of we bring that company, so to speak, on chain.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities with if like that Formula One experience, and maybe it's loyalty, a loyalty program, and their NFTs behind the scenes, and Glyph is kind of what is powering it. There are a lot of opportunities. I think a lot of that will be done with outreach, and like you just said, Steve, it's like we have to actually do that outreach. We're not going to get people just to come to us. And so it is certainly possible how that goes, how that all fits together. I think that the best way is to not overwhelm with these brands. Like, hey, throw away your entire, onboarding and login experience. It's more like, hey, let's make an experience together. Or let's own the rewards and loyalty, like you just said. And there's an opportunity for that for sure.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, look, thanks for joining us this morning. It's again, this gets me excited. This is the stuff that gets me up in the morning as far as like Web3 goes, is that things like this give us the opportunity to continue to grow as a space and actually bring it to people in full force who are not here currently, because people aren't coming in with 24-word seed phrases. People aren't coming in if they have to go to an exchange and then go to a bridge and then swap it. It's like, if the average person in Web3 struggled to use Hyperliquid, then the average person in Web2 is not going to use it, right? They're not going to, go through and try to decode this language. Like, you need like a literacy degree in Web3 before you use it, it feels like. I still don't know how I got here in 2020 in full force. Obviously, like, using Coinbase in the 2016, 2017 range is easy. Shows how you can onboard. So stuff like this is huge. And congratulations on continuing to move that forward. Definitely excited to see where y'all net out. And thanks for jumping by this morning.
Onward, if you got one more time for one more question, Mesh did also ask, is there anything, if you can speak to any specific things or types of projects more focused on in terms of building on ApeChain? So is there any, whether it be gaming or you know, sports betting, DJ? We're obviously big fans of Clutch Market. We'll talk about Cap's Clutch Market parlay of the day here in a minute. But is there any particular verticals or any types of project, any specific things that you would love to see more of on ApeChain?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Clutch. I think being able to create something that is sticky, meaning that I want to come here every single day. I don't want to come here once and then never open the site again. I want to come back to it. And I think that games and like Web3 gaming or gaming in general are good for that. But I also think, you know, sports betting, fantasy sports, those types of interactions where you can kind of come and I'll come back tomorrow, but there's a social element to it. And that's the thing that, you know, I think there's been some teams on other chains that have actually done a good job with that. But, you know, blending social with some sort of game mechanic, I think is really important. So really, I think for ApeChain, you can build anything. You know, you can build something that's super degen, like that's 100x leverage if you wanted to, like, or you could build something that is, you know, actually cater to maybe we could say a Web2 audience, and it's just a tool. You know, the really cool thing about the Glyph SDK, but also just, you know, where we are at right now with Cursor and Windsurf and Bolt and all the different AI, you know, IDs and coding, is that really you can really experiment and play and with like into different things and kind of just see like what do you think the market wants? Or I mean, I ask you, you know, everybody on this call, like, what do you want to see on ApeChain? And then maybe go build it. I mean, you can now. So yeah, I think that really just anything that brings people back daily and gets them to be able to enjoy ApeChain for all that it has. And I think one of the strongest things that it has is a really engaged community that is passionate, and that's very rare and that's very authentic, and that's not something that you can just fake.
100%. I can't make this up. This weekend, Steve, I added a new podcast to my rotation. Any guesses?
No idea.
We have a friend, longtime fan of the show, friend of the show, who's connected with this individual in this particular podcast. Still no ideas? So I started listening to, and I follow this guy for a while on X, and great content, but I never actually went down the path to listen to a podcast. Long story short, I am now the Startup Ideas podcast with Greg Eisenberg is now in my rotation. I burned through a few this weekend. The whole idea is he talks about it on X, and then the podcast about these different startup ideas. And where I'm going with this, connect these dots, is yes, taking a lot of his advice and getting the creative juices flowing. It's the all this is, and this isn't just Greg. This is, you know, Sam Altman said something else over the weekend, came out like it is now the optimal time for idea guys. If you've ever wanted to build something or you have a thought and you don't do it, you don't know where to get started, and then 10 years later you see someone's a multi-billionaire because they had the similar idea and they shipped it a couple of years after you thought about it. Now there's no excuses. And what I think is, not only is there a great time to build, you know, even for the, you know, all the idea guys out there, the non-coders, idea guys and girls, now's our time. You can do it on chain as well. And that's where I think it's an exciting time to build on chain and have fun, experiment. Not everything has to be a $1 billion business. Sometimes you can take an idea, experiment with it, and then iterate. And maybe that's all it is. It's just an experiment, a short game. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle and you have the next unicorn. But I just think it's a very exciting time to be a builder, arguably greater than ever before in terms of ability to scale something quickly, in terms of, you know, lean team and limited capital. And then when you tap in the, you know, what blockchain tech unlocks in this community that is vibrant in the Ape ecosystem, just a lot of exciting stuff. And I don't even have any like, this show is my priority right now, and leveling this up as I continue to just like the creative juices flow and I land on something. Like a little while I was, you know, joking. I told myself I'm never getting back into retail again and getting the itch. And while who knows, I'm never going to say never. I really do like. I want to experiment on chain. I want to experiment on ApeChain. I'm not a dev, but I want to have an idea hit me in the shower one day and spend a weekend vibe coding and using tools like Glyph to launch something on chain. Not thinking it's going to be the next great life-changing thing I do, but I think it's everything's iterative. It could lead to the next thing. And I just, as a builder, it's a very exciting time to be alive, and I'm very biased, but I think it's a very exciting time to be here, and appreciate all of you that are pushing this tech forward to help all of this, like myself, who aren't the most technical people in the world. I'm not the devs, to be able to build with you all. So yeah, it's just this vision of, it's one thing to build a decentralized IP and have thousands of individuals helping grow a brand. It's another whole other thing to be building together. And while I've said for a while, I felt ApeChain could be that connective tissue that ties all these community builders together. Yes, and we now have tools that I think is going to enable many more builders to come join the fund. So yeah, truly grateful for all you're doing, and thanks on behalf of all the builders here and those yet to find us yet.
Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to see what you build.
Let's build, bro. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Well, Cap, I mean, like, look, that was we talk about it all the time. Like, this is important. Like, this is like these sorts of things kind of dovetails in the conversation. I hope Von Frunten can make it up, because I know we were having a debate about, he's saying like tokens exist in the real world. I think that we're sorely mistaken thinking that brands are going to issue tokens that fluctuate up and down in price. Certainly not anytime soon. And don't think that consumers want those products. Consumers do want products like a Glyph wallet, or a wallet that makes it easy, where it's single social sign-on. And yes, you sacrifice security. It's funny because people in the space tell me how horrible the security is. It's like, yeah, you're going to sacrifice security. You can use things like YubiKeys. You can use things like, sort of 2FA and Google Authenticator to try to help you stay ahead of the game. I just think it's a, it's a time that we're starting to see more and more of these things get used, and it's exciting. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, same. Few hands here. Do you want to? I didn't see who was up next, but do you want to go Machiavelli? Then I don't see a hand with board dev, but we'll go Machiavelli, board dev, and then Maisie.
Sure, let's do it.
Machiavelli.
Hey guys, I'm Cap. I am an idea guy. Like, this is like the most exciting times for me. I totally agree with you in all that aspect, because when I think about Glyph, like, I think about how do we already enhance already created experiences. Like, one thing that I like, and like just being an idea guy or running around, like already taking this, like, we could bring every library on chain. Imagine if we brought in a new system to all the libraries across America. We utilize Glyph. They just had to sign in with their email or whatever to get their simple library card for their city. Boom, we bring on hundreds of thousands of users right there. You know what I mean? But like, these things are getting closer and closer to being possible. And I'm just really excited about this, hearing him talk, because I want to be one of those people that helps transform those experiences and stuff like that to bring these people on chain. I'm super excited.
Yeah, man, exciting times. I am for, and not just the idea guys and girls out there, but yeah, if you are a creator, a builder, it is, and this is a lot of this stuff, it's the worst it's ever going to be. So it's just like things are increasingly going to evolve and get even more efficient, get even easier. And thankfully, due to a lot of smart people out there like Onward that are making this stuff easy on the rest of us. Board Dev, who does have some technical chops. I saw you jumped up. GM, what brought you up this morning?
Hey, GM. Yeah, speaking of IP and technical and combining everything, pre-orders are live for my second book for Happy Ape. So children's book that explains the blockchain in a magical way. And includes a NFC chip inside the book where you can collect a free ApeChain NFT. So combining, digital and real world products. So yeah, really exciting. And I don't know if you could help me pin that up. I always forget how to pin, but I have the pre-order post that I'd love to pin up if you guys would.
Yeah, it should be up there. I'll pull it up on screen so you can see to make sure I got the right one. But pre-order live. First 50 orders get a fun little squishy banana toy. And don't forget to grab a limited edition sticker pack while supplies last. Only 50 of those available. If you didn't get the first one, great book. One of my favorite things is not just your ape IP. I love how you incorporated the pudgy penguin in it as well. And it's just like this is you mentioned the digital collectible. It's just like you made it very easy for the non-crypto natives to tap into what else this tech can unlock. So yeah, I've been pinned up top. I'll give it a flash here on the screen in a second. Congrats on the launch. It's exciting.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for pinning that for me. And a few shout outs. Jacopo, I've worked with him on my first book and this book again. He did the illustrations, and man, we've been working on this for quite a long time now. And he's done an amazing job. So he's down in the audience. So at I Draw Animation, if you guys aren't following him, give him a follow. Amazing artist in our community, and just this community in general. I always say it like, we surround ourselves with people we want to, be like and get support from and grow like. And this community is full of builders. And it's one reason why I joined the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Like, I wanted to be around those type of people that are building really cool things. And when you're in, you just get those connections and you get to learn and grow. And it's really helped me, to be honest. Steve, if you guys don't know, he wrote his own book. And I, messaged him for advice on my second book here that I wrote, and it was about the blockchain. And I'm like, hey, I want this book to tell the story of the blockchain and have ideas of like consensus mechanisms and different things that the blockchain offers, but I need to tell it to a 5-year-old. And that's really challenging to do, is explain the blockchain in a magical story. And I sent him the book and I said, hey, let me know. And he sent me back a whole entire other document with all these points and helpful tips, and it was amazing. So I really, really appreciate that, Steve, for your help, and anybody else that has helped and gave feedback. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate that you appreciate it, because I am heavy-handed on the editing. When someone asks me for an opinion, I will go in and I will go hard and give my thoughts. I am
You're easily offended. Don't ask Steve to proofread or edit.
Yes, like if you get offended, if you take your writing very personally, do not ask me to proof it, because I will go through. It's funny because, again, like I have a couple of friends who are like far superior writers to me who will edit me, and I take no offense. Like they will just rip it apart and tell me why it doesn't make sense. And yeah, I will all day take if you ask me to edit something and I agree to do it, you're getting edits. I've never been the guy, whether it was in the corporate world or non-corporate world, to say, no edits looks good. And if I do that, like my team would know either A, I'm mailing it in because I have something else going on and I didn't have time, or B, they have really crushed it because there's and I'm not like a micro editor, but I will give my opinion on things. So I appreciate that you appreciate it, because not everybody does. Some people get very mad at me and don't want to talk to me anymore after I edit their stuff. People take
I gotta say, you gave other insight too. It wasn't just like, like grammar or structuring. It was also like, well, why? Because the other part is like, I was afraid that as adults, we analyze too much sometimes, and we don't think like kids. Like, we could tell a story and a magical story and it just be like magical to them and just work. And for us, we're like, well, why did that happen? Or what about this? Where did this come from? Like, so I wanted to try to avoid too much, but I didn't want to leave gaps as well. And I know you had mentioned there were some gaps, and, my wife and I, we write the books together. You see both of our names on the books. We both work together. She went to college for this. So, and she's been a stay-at-home mother and always wanted to write and do journalism and publish. And now she's able to do that. And, you know, we write these together. So I take her feedback, and it's kind of nice for this book because she's a normie. She's, you know, she's outside of Web3. She doesn't know. I talk about it all the time. She still has no clue what I do or what any of this really means. But this book, every time we got to the blockchain part of the book, it didn't make sense to her, and she had gaps and questions. And that's when I knew, like, if I'm trying to reach a Web2 audience and people out there that aren't Web3 natives, I need to correct this. And that was actually really helpful. So yeah, it was really fun writing this, but it was really challenging as well.
Yeah, I definitely mess with the analogies quite a bit and things and sort of the metaphors quite a bit to try to work it. So looking forward to that. Congratulations on getting that out the door. Looking forward to that. Should be pinned up top.
Happy Ape shop. Yeah, the thread I posted did not have the link. If you go through the Happy Ape account or their website, it's just happyape.shop. We'll get you a good call out, Dwayne. Thanks for that.
Love that. Maisie, go ahead and get in here. GM.
Hey, GM Captain Steve. How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me. I like your spaces. You guys cover a lot of topics. I know I go on a lot of spaces, and they usually stick to one topic. That's great, but this is much better when you know, keep the conversation going in whatever direction audience decides is the best. So I kind of like that. And I was going through some of the pin posts, and this Web2, Web3 narrative and the mixture of it. I'm thinking a lot about it, and my background, I came to Web3 3 years ago, and also, funny with self-publishing a book. So, and I always felt like that the only future not the only future, but the only, big future if we want Web3 industry to be a leader and kind of big, player, is to use all the best components from the Web2 industry and the physical world, right? Because we are, in the end, physical beings. And, I feel like, I feel like that if you're starting the project in the Web3 industry, you should, have in mind the Web2 people, the physical world, and on a sideways, you should, if it's somehow possible, to build a product that is like reproduction of your digital product. I mean, like when you self-publish the book on Amazon, you have a Kindle, but you also have a paperback, because a lot of people love to touch and read stuff like I do, for example. And maybe I'm older. I'm 33 years old, and I lived, back when you had to connect to the internet with that horrible sound, right? But I feel like that, like the future is a hybrid between Web2 and Web3. Use the best part from both industries, and give both physical and digital people all that they want, right? Because, for example, I went fully digital, and my friend always kid that I'm like only existing on X and virtually, right? So it's I feel like that mixture of hybrid between Web2 and Web3 is the best possible direction, for industry to flourish.
Yeah, I agree. It's and like, this is one of the reasons, by the way, that I think the meme coin meta set us back so far, is because it's not a consumer product. It wasn't bringing the masses. There was this whole narrative about it. And it was funny because, like, I got in this debate with Stats at one point in a legendary status where he's like, meme coins won't bring in the masses, stable coins and some other things will. And Stats is like, who's saying meme coins are going to bring in the masses? And I like linked the Thread Guy space. I'm like, Thread Guy's talking to somebody who is going to talk about how sort of, it brings in the mass. Like, so to me, it's like, that set us back further, because if you want to get closer to consumer crypto and consumer applications, you need to do things that are familiar and usable for consumers, not things that are unfamiliar to them, or products that they don't want, don't ask for, or have a bad perception about. Von Frutton, So you came up. I know I mentioned if you want to come back up and chat a little bit, we can go for a few minutes here and talk about the topic. You had disagreed with me on something, and whenever someone disagrees with me or Cap, we like to get them on stage to give the counterpoint to make sure that we are not one-sided and we represent all sorts of different views. So Von Frunton, I will tell you why I disagree with you, I'm sure, but go ahead and get in here and maybe you'll convince me.
Hey, GM. Gosh, if 33 is old on this space, then you're talking to a dinosaur. Also already put in my Happy Ape order board dev. So hopefully I got in that first 50. Again, I'm being very, very specific on this point. I'm not talking about meme coins, and I'm talking about brand coins. And I think the way that Rect has positioned this and is using it has a greater, now, I don't think it's the silver bullet, but I think it has a greater opportunity to show different use cases for tokens in general than what we saw with meme coins. I agree. Chill Guy and all the other stuff that we were going, crazy about back in the fall is not the way to onboard the masses, right? That is a way to show people that it truly is a casino and that the house always wins and that you really just should keep your money elsewhere unless you are an absolute sharp in the space, right? But where I was, what I started to go, and I know I put a little bit of this in the war room, was I don't think it's NFTs or tokens. I think it can be NFTs and tokens, right? And I think we've seen like these use cases come through where like NFT as an access pass, NFT as a way to get early access to something, to get discounts to something, to get, invites to events, whatever. We've seen those use cases. We've seen them work. That is totally a way, and with products like Glyph now, where you've abstracted the wallet and the crypto side of this completely, I think you've really found a use case and a normie-friendly way to have NFTs become these products that allow you to have access to things you couldn't have before and connections to things you haven't had before. Like, look at the Red Bull Stadium in New York. They're implementing this kind of stuff, right? Everything you read about or you wrote about, Steve, completely agree with, right? What I like about what Rect is doing, right? And it's still early in the thesis, so this could totally fall on its face at some point in time. But what I like about what they're doing is it's not the token as the entry to the community, right? It's not the token as this is the way to get rich. It's the token as, hey, instead of just giving you points that you can then go use in our closed loop ecosystem, like every other loyalty rewards program that exists on Earth, I'm giving you a token. Now, they haven't.
Why is it better than the stablecoin? Real quick.
Let's see where that goes. But at the very least, I can cash out that token for anything else, right? I can off-ramp it into fiat. I can move it into something else. I can hold it and see if number goes up. But I have a different use case for that token than I would if it just went to rewards points the same way my Delta miles and my Marriott points are good to buy more Delta and Marriott stuff. So that's where I really like the use of crypto in loyalty and rewards, because crypto can then be used in many, many different places. I'll be interested to see how Rect does or does not implement it back into their own ecosystem, or if it's just hey, every few months for our loyal, most engaged people, we're going to throw you whatever, $50, $75, whatever it is for helping out. Thank you so much for being a loyal fan. Do with this money whatever you want, and we're out. So I do think there's a use case for both of these. I don't think it's an either or.
Why would a company want to take on the responsibility of what is effectively an unregistered security, or even if it's considered a product? We talked a bunch of you on the space about it, where he's like, yeah, we have a coin. There are people who just don't care about Billy, who yell at me about the price of the coin all day. So you're taking on a headache, number one, that you're looking at price on. You are giving people something that is completely unfamiliar and doesn't make sense to them. Like, hey, here's $5 in rewards for this thing. Oh crap, it's $1 now. Doesn't sound great to consumers, because the second you issue an award to a consumer, that the only thing you can generally do with it and sell, unless they're very thoughtful sinks, and even if they are, it still has volatility to it. Consumers don't want to get cash back on something. Like, imagine if I was like, hey, you're getting 5% cash back on everything you buy with this credit card And depending on the conditions of the market, it's 1%. That doesn't sound like a very good credit card. It doesn't sound like one people would want. They want the consistency. So why would you?
I respectfully disagree. I love my credit cards. My favorite credit back cards are the ones where I get Bitcoin back.
Yes, because you're in crypto, Cap. That is not what normal human beings enjoy. That is not normal.
I think there are some that would appreciate a volatile reward. I don't think it's just crypto people who are not going to, because it's
pretty much just crypto people. It's small.
Did the $5 reward become $1? Yes. The $5 reward could also become $50. And I think that most people aren't banking on these rewards to pay their mortgage or their rent. It's just like a little extra bonus every once in a while. And I probably not for your really established, entrenched brands, but for a startup brand, I think there's absolutely something here where they could excite people far beyond just the crypto space. We'll see. I do agree with all of you said that there's got to be more than just to sell it. Otherwise, all you get is sell pressure. I think it's going to be very interesting to follow along Rec Drinks here. Now that they're going into 7-Eleven, what does it start looking like now that they've presumably are going to onboard a lot of people? Like fast forward a year, theoretically, there should be a lot more Rec Drink consumers outside of crypto than there are crypto natives. And how this plays out then is going to be really interesting. But I think there's something there. We'll see.
So I think what you're saying, I can get a little bit more on board with. I still am not fully there, but I actually think that is like, look, if somebody wants to get creative as a startup, particularly a crypto-based startup where the product's familiar, or maybe years from now when it's more comfortable with people, a non-crypto-based startup, I can see where you would be coming from there. So I actually think the point you're making there more salient. I just think brand coins, we're taking like this exception to the rule in Rec Coin. Like, how did Anime do? How did Dude do? How did Meme Coin do? How did like it's just brand coins as a whole, even Pengu, like greatly down from the all-time highs. It just sort of has this. So I think like, I want to be like, I agree with you. I think sometimes when you're taking like the exception to the rule and being like, okay, like they're setting, it can either be a precedent that you can all follow, but I'm not sure that's the case. I think there have a lot of separate dynamics that make them work specifically, but agree with you that I could see some scrappy startups doing it who has a product and an audience and a target market that aligns with it. I just think we shouldn't overestimate what a target market is for somebody who wants a coin that you get $5 in rewards and it can be 57 cents within 48 hours. I don't think that there's a large contingency of people who are excited about that type of reward outside of our space. But if you have the right target market and the right people, or maybe if you give them options and be like, hey, if you're a DraftKings person, you might be the right market for this. So maybe you can get stablecoin, or maybe you can get this DraftKings token reward. Like maybe it's an option like that, like an either or, where you have like different options of reward systems that go there within the markets. I just think we have to be cognizant of the market of people who want a product like this is very small, but there is potentially a market for it. But I think you have to make sure that it is a target market for your product. I think Rec happens to have a good product and a target market who not only likes their physical product, but actually likes the digital products as well. And you need that into it. So I would agree with you on there are exceptions to the rule. I just think brand coins aren't some meta that we're going to see across the board with large brands, medium brands, etc. But I think your case makes sense. Von Front, I saw your hand fly back up as Cap and I were talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think and let me be clear. I don't think Starbucks or Nike or insert established brand here should do anything like this, right? They have the moat. It doesn't make sense for them to do this. I also agree that if I am going to think about the absolute masses, stable coins have a much easier onboarding platform and story than anything that is volatile. So totally agree with those points. I think what Cap and I think what you're even now saying, Steve, is like there is a segment of the market, and it doesn't even have to be a crypto-centric segment of the market, where I do think there is a use case for this, right? Now, it's not just, and you bring up Anime, you bring up Dude, you bring up every other TGE that we've had. I wouldn't TGE it like that, right? I mean, and I don't know I should go back and look, but I don't know what the initial tokenomics for Rect was. But I don't think it was we're going to go and get 500 communities and we're going to run up to this gigantic market cap and have everybody cash out thousands and thousands of dollars. If it was that, then, you know, I'm wrong here, right? But it's been he held back a ton to have ongoing rewards during these different seasons where people are making, you know, I mean, I made $70 on the last one, right? I'm not going to say I could have sold $70 if I needed $70. I would have sold $70 and gotten, you know, USDC or even off ramped it into cash. But I got $70. I was like, cool. Let me hold on and see what it is. That $70 is worth, I don't know, $80, $90 now. I made a little bit of money. It's awesome. Love it. But I think you go into this with, again, you have to do it a certain way. You don't run it like every other gigantic payout TGE that we've seen in the past 6 months. You come in and say, this is meant to be loyalty and rewards. Maybe there is some initial TGE, you know, airdrop for my early adopters and, you know, team, whatever. But this is going to be a slow drip. And this is exactly how it's going to run. And it's going to have a pretty low market cap to start. We're not going to be in hundreds of millions or billions of dollars.
Like, who's the market you're talking? Von Front, real quick.
And if we do it right, it goes up, yay. And hey, and every time I airdrop this to you, you have the ability to cash out. And I will be dead honest with you that if Von Frontman gets $70, he can cash it out now for 70, or he can watch it go to 30 or watch it go to 100. Those are your choices. Decide accordingly. Be super communicative about this and let people make the decisions with their own money. Some people will cash out for 70. Some people will let it ride.
But I guess like what I don't understand is like, we're talking in generalities here. So what are the products and who are the people that you think are going to like, because I guess like what we're talking about here is I think I specifically was earlier saying like consumers don't want a brand coin. Consumers, generally speaking, aren't wanting to, you know, scan a QR code. If they give them the option of you're going to scan a QR code and you're going to get something that's going to get you future discounts and deals.
Why not both? Because they do have the drank points. Like it's not just it's not like they buy a case and they just get
those turn into the airdrop though.
Right. But my point is there's your option. Like you accumulate your drank points and maybe you don't want to do anything with it, but cash it out for a gift card to Starbucks down the road, or you can cash out your drank points for your rec coin claim. Like, could you see a hybrid approach where they use the drank points in this example that is their loyalty tracker, and then the end user can choose what they want to do with those points. If they want to redeem it, their drank points.
Yeah.
Don't, they can do whatever, like the discount on the next batch, right? I think that is very much a realistic path forward for this.
Yes, I don't think that brands are going to want to get in the token game. Like I said, like I think that that's a thing people are going to tread very, very lightly with. But yes, I agree with that. That I would say brands would be more like here's my hybrid to that is that I would say I will hybrid your hybrid. It's a hybrid of a hybridception right here we're having on this Monday morning. I would say that if I were a brand, I would, instead of having my own coin, I would just have as one of my loyalty options a partnership with Avalanche or Ethereum or whoever it is, and you can claim that coin. Like, I don't see my own coin because my own coin requires me to have an entire department who does things around those coins. Like, I think that as a reward might make sense. And I guess options, to your point, make sense, right? The option of it. But, like, I think the way people are talking about brand coins in the context earlier was like, oh my God, this is such a meta and it's going to change how people do things and businesses should be using brand coins. And it's not you guys. I'm not talking specifically about you guys. This is the timeline, is that it sees Rec does a brand coin well, and we just slowly step over all the other brand coins that didn't do well in this space. And we ignore the ones that maybe aren't doing as well. And we say like Rec did it well. Everybody can just copy this model. I don't think it's the case. I actually think a better rewards option is like, look, Coinbase is giving people up to 4% rewards in Bitcoin. I think if you tell people you can get your 2% cash back in Bitcoin, or you can get this reward, or you can get that reward, I think most people are going to take Bitcoin over brand coin. And so I just think, and I don't think brand wants to run brand coin and watch it go down and have people yelling at them. Like, do you think, and again, I know you're not saying large companies, but do you think like, you know, Tim Cook wants to be in an investor meeting talking about Apple Coin? Like, really? Like, that's the answer he wants to have at an investor meeting? Like, I don't think so. I don't think he wants to be talking about what he's doing to pump their bags. That's basically, he already has to do it with the stock. So I think like to me, like sure, maybe it could be an option of one of many things. I still don't think that manifests itself in a brand coin because as a company, I have no issue in issuing it. And as a consumer, I have no reason to own that particular coin. And I've changed my mind on this. At one point, I thought it made a lot of sense. It's like certain discounts, certain things. I think there's stable coins that make sense in these situations. And I think if you're going to give a loyalty reward of a coin that can be volatile, I think you give, options to have rewards and like, I mean, you could get really creative with it. Fart coin, ETH, Bitcoin, like all these different ones and take the rewards in that. I don't think a brand coin itself makes sense there unless you're going to program all sorts of stuff around it. It's just, I don't think it's a headache that the businesses want. I don't think it's a product the consumers want. So I'd say yes, but I think that that's the play out of it. If I had to respond to that, Von Front, see your hand fly back up, get in here.
There's some sort of joke about carbonated beverages and hot air rises with Farcoin, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't disagree, right? Like, look, like if we're going to talk about headaches, the easiest thing to do is not start a business. The next easiest thing to do is just sell products. The next easiest thing to do is just sell products and have investors. The next easiest thing to do is just sell products and have investors and have a token. I mean, like we could talk about how hard, what level of hard mode do you want to run your business on, right? And if I am a large established company, again, we keep saying like, Tim Cook at Apple and Nike and Starbucks, right? They're already on hard enough. They don't need one more headache, but they also have entrenched business, billions of dollars of revenue, product market fit. They've got it all, right? Like they don't need to disrupt the market because they have already established the market, right? Everything I'm talking about is for the next one up, for the small company who is looking for some angle to come in and disrupt, who will not have the entrenchment, the brand loyalty, the equity, the funding, the budget, everything that the big guys will. What are the things that they can do to go in and get a foothold where they otherwise can't, right? NFTs, tokens, leveraging network effects within Web3 are ways to do that. Now, am I saying that the masses are going to run to Reccoin and can't wait to cash out and see that number go up and deal with the roller coaster? Absolutely not. That is going to totally turn off an entire segment of the marketplace, right? I think it's going to be interesting to see just how big the segment is that does sign up for something like that, depending on how they execute on it. My hypothesis is it's bigger than maybe we think. It's bigger than the people who were buying unicorn fart dust, from a normie perspective, because of how it, in my mind, how it could be run. Now, it's up to the team to run it. It's up to the team to set those expectations. It's up to market forces to, send this up, down, or sideways that no one can control. But I do think that there's a there. And I'll be really interested to see how it plans out. I'm not calling victory yet, but I'm not calling, defeat either.
Who are the brands? So like, I want to be specific here. So we know it's not the large brands. I agree with crypto brands. You can get cute with it and make it a focus in an entire department because your target audience is in this world and they could see fun dynamics here if you really want to get experimenting with it. Who is your middle ground? Because I think I don't think there's a large consumer audience for the thing. I think it's tiny. Like, again, just the same way there's a tiny audience for shit coins. There's a tiny audience for like gambling and that and whatnot, right? I mean, like even gambling, because we enjoy gambling, it's a massive market on paper. But when you look at it relative to other markets, I mean, even the gambling markets, people are like, hey, there's always been gambling. Yes, there's always been casinos. And there's online casinos we can get to today, but a lot of people don't use them quite as much. And I think in a very similar fashion to the point that you're sort of, like to the point that I'm trying to make here is that like we think of gambling as like, oh, well, there's gambling everywhere. So of course people will be interested in this stuff. But really, when you think about the gambling market, it's growing because people are getting more access to it. But like, go to one of your kids' sporting events and walk around and how many people watch sports? Everyone there raises their hand. How many people gamble on sports? Smaller percentage, 2-3 people out of the whatever percentage of the, 30 people there that are talking about it. It's like not as big as you think. And I think then you shrink that, less people are interested in these sort of coins. So my point being like, what brand are you just saying a startup in crypto? You said outside of crypto. Like, is it DraftKings should take on another regulatory thing and because that's the market for it, but they already have a regulatory headache. Is it DraftKings should introduce a coin and give it as one of their options of things instead of issuing a stable coin where they could safely earn yield and don't get the headache? So I'm trying to figure out like who is it that you think makes sense? And I'm not saying it like in a challenging way, like I don't believe it exists. I'm asking who you believe fits this market.
Yeah, so I think it's I'm not gonna like rattle off like brand names. Right? I don't have like, oh, it's definitely this one like startup sneaker brand, whatever. Right?
I think it's
it is
don't exist yet.
But
It's part of the challenge. I think it's the startup.
Go ahead.
That's who.
I think it's the startup.
Yeah, it's the ones.
Yeah, I agree.
That don't exist yet. It's
like doing what? Like, give me an example of like a startup that doesn't exist.
Like it got into an.
I know. Besides the anomaly one, besides like a wreck, give me an example of a type of startup or a startup brand. I'm not trying to like be an asshole. I'm trying to like figure out like what is that brand that you're saying? Because I agree with you.
I'll give you an archetype. Let's Steel Man or Straw Man or something here.
Burning Man.
Burning Man. Yeah, we're gonna Burning Man this thing. So I think it's a startup. I think it is somebody who is entering a very entrenched market, right? Drinks, clothing, shoes, physical product, right? You know, restaurant where you are up against big budgets, right? You have got to almost overplay loyalty and rewards as a way to get that initial stickiness, right? And then we know there's a line, right? The rewards can't be greater than the product itself, but you've got to really lean into some sort of mechanism that is loyalty and reward based that gives people a reason to keep coming back. I think there's a way to do that is not crypto. That is, I get my blank points and those points get me discounts, right? Look, there's the ice cream shop down the street that my family goes to, right? I put in my phone number and I get points, and every so often I get a free ice cream cone, and that's great. And that's the only place I earn it. It's the only place I use it. It's a closed loop. Yay. Right. But if that place wants to start competing with Ben and Jerry's and all these other things, and they start saying, hey, not only are we going to give you this, I'm going to give you money, right? And I'm going to give you a choice. You know, hey, you can turn these points in for an ice cream cone. You can turn these points in for money, or you can let it ride and you go, right? In the second option where you can cash out, it's effectively acting like a stable coin. I don't need to keep it on my account. I can cash it out, right? Give me an off-ramp like Stripe. Give me something like that. But it's, if I want to go compete, because I can't, right? And look, clothing brand. Lululemon spends, I think I want to say something like north of 9 figures of marketing budget a year. I don't have 9 figures. I don't have 6 figures. I don't have 5 figures to spend on marketing right now. If I want to go and drive a similar level of loyalty as Lululemon in a clothing industry, I'm going to have to do something super creative, and I'm going to attract a certain segment. Am I going to attract the same level and same number of people and the same type of people that Lululemon does if I do that for a clothing brand? Absolutely not. But am I going to attract enough people, enough of the right kind of people that are interested in that ecosystem, that are going to help me get my product and my brand off the ground and maybe build in something that is very, very sticky, that then gets me the bankroll to start competing in a more mass market appeal? Absolutely. And while we say Rect is the anomaly, right? Rect's going to have to get outside of the crypto world. They're going to have to get outside of the abstract and open.
And I don't think the token's going to do it though.
They're going to have to appeal in the fridge at 7-Eleven to people who know nothing about Drink Points and Rect Coin. Totally. But did this help them get it off the ground? And will it help them have a more continuous cycle of doing this than just dropping an NFT once and hoping for loyalty later? Absolutely. So I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I'm not saying it works for every brand. But I do think in the same way that NFTs help for initial funding of startup brands and network effects in Web3, I think we've maybe found a second mechanism that allows for that continued use of crypto native loyalty and rewards that extend that time horizon as you bring out to the masses. I'm not saying that brand coins are the right things for the soccer moms at Saturday morning who just want $2 off their next latte.
Yeah, I guess like I'll put a pin in it with this one because I think we just fundamentally disagree. Like that example isn't super compelling to me in the sense that like I don't think that like you use like an ice cream brand. Like I don't think people going to the mom and pop ice cream shop are like, let me go get a shit coin. Like I don't. And so like I think if you're selling something in crypto native world, agree. If you're in a startup that is crypto adjacent, agree. If your general people who are funding your startup are crypto native, sure, I could see where that works. I don't see like I guess like I think that there's this giant. I think we're like to me, we break out the jump to conclusions, Matt, when we say like we're going from mom and pop ice cream shop trying to compete with Ben and Jerry's to brand coin that can go up and down and get a shit coin for our ice cream. Like that's where I think it's like it doesn't work. I think it works with a startup brand that has either crypto native ties or as crypto starts to like move forward, I could see them saying, hey, we've got this thing. It's almost like it's like they wouldn't be able to say it's almost like getting stock, but the implication would be like, think of it like a stock that you're going to own because they couldn't say that. But like, I could see that maybe down the line a long time. But I do think that like with Rect, like, I don't think that for them going to 7-Eleven, one, they're going to have their rabid fans going in that are going to be clearing those. That's part of the marketing they've done by building that fan base, which is smart. That's what you should be doing. It's sort of what, sort of the Luca Nets theory earlier and the theory of my book and the theory of everything that we have here. Like they've built a community-based brand. But I don't think people are like, oh my God, and I got this coin from it. Like I think there are going to be a very, 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 very small percentage of people who even know about that, let alone those who claim it, let alone those who know how to claim it, especially with the wallet options. And I think the examples, that's what I'm looking for is like, I see what you're saying. Like Cap, you mentioned startups, Von Front, you mentioned startups. If you're selling to crypto people, sure. Like that's an appeal as an extra thing and people can get excited about it. And maybe you could have some fun with it and you can, spin your wheels and give yourselves, to your point, the headache and the hard mode trying to come up with it. I just don't see it as like a viable option for most anybody. And I think when you talk about the difference between NFTs, which are, you don't even know what you have. It's just a new brand anchor that makes things a little bit easier, or a coin, which people are watching go up and down. And they're like, well, wait, yeah, like, again, you tell someone like, I got $27 in rewards. How cool is that? And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Show me it. And they're like, oh, sorry, it's 14 cents now. It doesn't go over well. It's like when people nerf things like that, it doesn't go over well. And the market nerfs it because all you're going to do is sell it. So
yeah, I don't think that happens in this. Like, they're not going to make it to the point of escaping the crypto bubble. They're not going to make it mainstream if their underlying token is that volatile where it's going to nuke to zero the following day. Like Rect, it's taken them, they've been building for years. They're just now entering consumer like distribution at 7-Eleven. The token's not going to go to zero, even if everyone that goes and gets a small allocation sells it immediately. Like they've achieved some sort of stability. These aren't shit coins. I think that's where we both fundamentally disagree. Is I agree with you wholeheartedly that people don't want a shit coin. This is not a shit coin. And I understand but
it's a volatile asset. Like it could be $140 today that you got dropped, and it could be $100 tomorrow. And that's not what people want. Like that's a lot of money to people. I know we won't pick up $40 if it's on the sidewalk and crypto is an airdrop, but like people don't want to see something go down $20, $30, $40. No, I mean, like that's sort of the point. Like forget like the extreme examples and just think of it that way. I guess like, again, it's just like the industries it works in. I agree with both of you that I think it works in startups or things that are crypto adjacent. I don't think people are going to the mom and pop shop to get the things, even if it's just going from $1 to 97 cents. People are like, well, wait a minute. Why did my money go down versus up? It doesn't, I don't think it goes that way. And I'm trying to see the case for brand coins outside of crypto. And I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. And I'm open to examples. That's why I keep asking.
It's the same thing as NFTs, except it gives you the ability to extend it and do.
It's not at all like, it's nothing like NFTs. NFTs.
From a network effect standpoint, it's similar in the sense that you can get a vibrant fan base being, promoting and becoming brand ambassadors. With NFTs, it's limited to a smaller niche community. A brand coin allows you to take it to the masses without having to dilute those initial wave of first NFT.
It's so fundamentally different from NFTs in so many ways. Like
I agree, but in the sense of leveraging the network effects of
but
what
that's
it can
incredibly reductive in how it's approached, though. I mean, that's incredibly reductive, being like, well, it's a network effect, so I could go and hand out a keychain to everybody in Times Square, and that's like a brand coin and NFTs because it has a network effect because they're now in the like, no, it's like one being a brand anchor, often probably going to be soul bound, not necessarily tied to crypto and the blockchain in your mind, that could be used multiple times over for a utility based thing versus something that goes up and down in value in a volatile way, unless it's stable, which is why I said brand stable coins could make sense. I don't think it's like the same at all. And I don't think people want to join a community where the utilities number go up versus the utility is more product opportunity. And it's just NFTs are a strictly better technology for that aspect of it. Like, I don't think, like, I guess to the point is, like, you could see Fortune 500s and multinationals issuing NFTs. You could see smaller companies issuing NFTs and using them in various ways. I think we're trying to find the specific use case for a brand coin right now. And I'm struggling to find the market when we have really one good example of it. And I don't think it applies to other brands unless they exist in crypto or startup land in Web3 like that. So
that's what we're saying. We're saying startups. We're not saying Fortune 500s.
Right. In crypto with a product where people appreciate crypto and are gamblers. Like, you're talking about narrowing down to a very small niche of people. That's the point. Like, if that's what you're saying, because we were talking much broader earlier and people are talking about brand coins across the board. Like, if you're talking about like people in crypto,
what do sparkling beverages have to do with crypto?
What does Rect have to do with crypto?
What does the product have to do with crypto?
The product came after it, though. The product came after it. They built the community on Rect Guy, and then they created a product based on that and issued a brand coin. And in this niche scenario, it worked. It worked because the brand is a crypto brand. If your question is, what do OSF and Rect Guy have to do with crypto?
No, that's not my question.
We're on the wrong show.
What does a sparkling beverage have to do with crypto? And the answer is nothing. They build a brand leveraging the technology, leveraging those network effects. And I don't like, what's so hard to understand? Like, other brands could do the same thing with stuff that has nothing to do with crypto.
So all you need is a crypto influencer who people 100,000 people follow and have a alerts on for, a successful NFT brand that has grown and created. You need to be on with Farouk every other morning, and then you can issue a coin. And then when you create a product, if this is the use case, it is even more niche than I thought. So like, if you're using that as the example, sure. But like, them creating a brand after they built a community-based brand, which I fully agree with, great. Like, and then issuing a coin and being willing to take on that headache, yes, because they're crypto native, but you're talking about crypto native people who are buying crypto native products. We literally bought cases to get abstract OpenSea.
Yeah. My point is, this is disrupting an industry. If they continue at this trajectory, they're going to have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of builders that aren't crypto native people going to be like, how in the hell did Rec Drinks, a brand we've never heard of, sell 1 million plus units their first year? Get this 7-Eleven distribution. How did they outpace Red Bull and Liquid Death? How did they do it? And those entrepreneurs are going to start connecting dots like, oh, this is a new model. You can lead. Crypto is more than just the tech. You can build an army of brand ambassadors by leaning into this tech and giving them incentives. This is a new incentive program that we haven't experienced before in our traditional world. Like that's the point, is like, yeah, someone that has no crypto experience would fail miserably if they try to launch a brand coin. I think our point is the success they're having is, fast forward a year, fast forward 5 years, the Rect coin is not going to be the only successful brand coin. There will be more. Maybe there's one other one. Maybe there's 100 more. But for each successful one, you're going to see people in those industries, in this case, the beverage industry, it's going to turn heads. How do they do it? And when the answer is the crypto network effects and the community and these brand, like, you're going to see more people learn or start understanding it and jumping into this space. Just like we saw, not the greatest example because it sounds like he's already rugged it, but the launch coin guy, a Web2 VC guy, saw the excitement, saw the energy, saw the opportunity. Now, some of them, are they going to come in and be grifters and just extract? Yes, absolutely. I believe there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of builders. They're just going to see and they're going to connect these dots and realize, oh, wow, this actually is a better way to build. Let's bring everything on chain for all these reasons. And it's not just the tech, it's incentive programs on steroids. It's just a better way to do it. And others will see the success they're having. They're going to see startups like Rec come in and disrupt entrenched incumbents. How do they do it? And they're going to explore more. They're going to do more research. More people are going to come into crypto. And yeah, OSF might be an influencer in our world. He is an unknown in the big world. once there's like, we make fun of Kevin Rose, we dunk on Kevin Rose. Like there's a million other K-Ros out there that are way better than K-Ro at building businesses. They're going to enter this space. Maybe not. Maybe no one ever comes in. They're so turned off of NFTs and meme coins. But I think that's unlikely. I think that because of stable coins and just the changing regulations, more people are taking this space serious. And when people start seeing, oh, what, like if someone asks you, what was Rec Drink's secret sauce? How did they do this? How did they grow so fast? You can't tell the story without talking about the crypto rails, without talking about the NFTs, without talking about the Rec brand coin, without talking about the community. Like it's all part of their success. Others, it's duplicatable. Is it duplicatable for everyone? No. But 100,000, an account of 100,000 people, that is so small in big world, right? Like it's like laughable to think someone with an account of 100,000 could go and compete with these drink brands. You know, in the real world, what it takes Logan Paul and Kai Cenat have to partner up, and then they got to partner with Mr. Beast to sell food. Like to do this in the real world, it's not 100,000. It's some of the largest influencers on the planet to attempt to have a successful CPG brand. Ovi is doing the same thing with a fraction of that size of following, with a fraction of that influence because of crypto.
Well, because of he created a solid fandom. I think like the sales happen because of crypto and what he's in, the industry he's in, right? It happened because he is an influencer within an industry. He has a rabid fan base right off the rip. He has a rabid community right off the rip. I mean, how many rec guys reply to your, when you post about something rec guy related? They have relationships that allow them to leverage large relationships and different incentive rewards programs, which I think are smart, but they are playing on the crypto rails right now. The fact that the product is good means that I think it has the opportunity to survive long-term in the marketplace. I understand what you guys are saying here. I think that you're taking something that is like, hey, it's like saying like, you know what? Why don't people just buy something like Pudgy Penguins and just make it really successful and have global distribution? It's like, because Luca is an anomaly, and what he did there is an exception to the rule. It's not the rule. Nobody's buying, Secret Superlative Society tomorrow and turning it into Pudgy Penguins. Like, I suppose someone could, but the point is, like, we're looking at anomalies and saying, like, well, somebody who grew this in the anomaly. I don't think it's a formula. I think the formula that exists of community-based brand is there. I don't think a brand coin plays a major difference for startup brands. I just don't think it's a product that people generally want. Like, are we going to see some? Sure. And do I think it's the only one? No, I agree with you on that. But I think we're talking about this. The conversation earlier was like, it's a new model, brand coins. Like, I think Von Front said, totally disagree. Branding is going to be the incentive reward within it. And NFTs going to be the brand anchor. And I think that's way too broad of a statement, which is why I'm saying, where does it apply? Who does it apply to? And I think we agree crypto native and adjacent brands will be excited about brand coins. I think we are at best a long way off before anybody who is not in a crypto native brand is excited about brand coins, at least at scale. The market is tiny, and that's fine. Like, if you're looking at a crypto brand, we agree on that. If you're looking at a startup within crypto adjacent products, and if your target market, in the case of OSF and Rect, the target market for Rect brands right now is squarely in crypto. So crypto rewards work. I don't think those work outside of our world, unless you're talking about like Bitcoin, stable coins, or something that is very ubiquitously known. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But I think that there's probably a nuance that we're disagreeing on here. I just don't think it's as opportunistic or widespread as you think. I think it starts here, and that's fine. I just don't think, and I think, by the way, I think we could see like consumer brands grow the same way in our space potentially to then eventually try to break out of the space. I just don't think it's this like widespread thing, and startups that are non-crypto would be using it. I know we're going in some circles, so let's do this. Let's hit Von Front and we'll hit Maisie and then we'll get on out of here, because I think we'll just end up agreeing to disagree on this one. Von Front, go ahead.
Yep. Well, two final points. One, I think the concept of number go up, number go down, high volatility. Same argument agrees for tokens as it does for NFTs, right? Numbers go up and down on NFTs, numbers go up and down on tokens, right? So for whatever reason, NFTs may be a better anchor than tokens. Let's just all agree that they're both volatile. I think what we're violently agreeing on is that there is a market. Where the line of that market ends is TBD. I think what Cap and I are saying is that we see a horizon that beyond the crypto degen gambler, there might be one or two more levels that we're seeing of people who might actually sign up for something, right? It's not the Starbucks mom at your son's soccer game on Saturday morning. That's too far of a reach. But there's a reach beyond the degens on X who are buying and selling, things on blockchain.
Who though?
Who? Right?
Like Von Partner, who? Real quick, who? That's what I'm saying. Like I'm asking more specificity of who. Is it you think that it should be in gambling apps and maybe a start? Like let me try to concede something. Is it like a startup gambling app, for example, who's trying to compete with the draft?
How? Because right now we are, and this is my turn, and we're 40 minutes past 10, so I'm gonna try to close it, and we can pick this up another day, right? Because I know Payne's gonna kill us if he has to edit all this. I think it's a how tokens have been launched in the past is not how you do it. I think you have to change the how. I think you have to over-index on setting of expectations and communication and providing on and off ramps that maybe aren't in place right now, or at least not widely used by our community, because we all get on Uniswap and do stuff there. But I think there is a way that you can say, hey, I'm going to reward you in a transferable reward. Not a reward that you can only use in my ecosystem, but a reward that you can not only use in my ecosystem, but has utility outside the ecosystem because there is a dollar value tied to it. I do agree that stable coins and Bitcoin look a lot sexier with that model than brand coins. But I do think that with the right communication, with the right on and off ramps, with the right syncs, there is a market for brand coins for people. If you can.
I think Von got a phone call.
Same people who are up for the USDC and the Bitcoin rewards.
Yeah, we'll pick it up another day, like you said. I think the who is actually paramountly important as much as the how, because I think you need a target market because addressable market matters. But that's I think
good conversation.
Yeah, no, good chat. I think, like I said, I think the who is important more so, like even so than the how, because you need an addressable market. But I think it'll be interesting to see.
2 billion Rakuten users. That's the who. There's
2 million
love getting discounts, love getting rewards, love getting rebates. It's how they position it, how they market it to those individuals. Those individuals, they have Rakuten installed on their browser to get 17 cents back on their $100 purchase. Like, it's shitty if we have a $70 claim that becomes $17 the next day. The rewards are so far, can't have the potential to be so greater. I just like the people on Rakuten. I don't think they're tracking their Rakuten account balance. It's just an extra bonus that comes once a month in the mail, or once a month they get a PayPal credit. When this becomes so mainstream, it's not like, is it going to be volatile? Yes. Are someone going to instant swap to stables? Maybe. Like it's too early to even guess how all those dots connect. But the who is the 2 billion people out there who love saving money, who love getting third-party discounts back for their purchases, who like loyalty programs. Like
why do they want a meme coin? Like that's, I guess, my point. Like why do those people? I'm just not tracking why those people want. Like
why am I wearing a Pelotonia shirt today?
I don't know. What does that have to do with meme coins? I'm not tracking.
It's a brand. It's a brand I support. Why would I want to hold a brand coin? It's a brand I support.
So
that's why.
Yeah, I don't think that tracks at all. Like I think those are two completely different things. You wearing a shirt versus somebody getting a meme coin as a reward. Like
people buy GME because they like the brand. They want to support it. Yes, do they expect number to go up? Sure, but a lot of those people, they're doing it for more than just number go up. Like
I actually don't think that's the case with stocks really much at all. I think most people buy stocks in general because they expect it's going to be worth more. That's why it's a security. It's expectation of return based on the actions of other people. Like
yes, but that's also why you have meme stocks that perform. There's no logic to it. Like, why is the Trump media group trade at such a premium? Because people want to support with Trump. Like, it's like not everything is financially driven. I think you'd be surprised how many people buy things just because they want to support the underlying thing. And
I do it all the time. I just don't think consumers are looking for a meme coin. That's just like I think
actually Trump media is proof point that there's a lot of people out there that buy shit just because they want to support it. There's no logic or ration to why it's priced the way it is. They just want to be part of the team.
You mean the Trump coin specifically?
I mean, actually, both Trump coin as well as I was actually referring to the stock, the Trump media group. I don't know what the ticker is, but there's no fundamentals that makes any sense. People buy it because they want to be part of the team. It's like why people buy a jersey. They want to be part of the team. Brand coins, people may want to buy and support or hold.
Okay. So your theory, I'm tracking this. I'm not saying this as a pushback because I was like the Trump example. We're now going way to the outlier of examples again on that. So I see what you're saying there, but like I would push back on that. Where I think what you're getting at is your belief and thesis. I don't agree with it, but your belief and thesis, but we'll see how it plays out, is that you think we enter a world. I'm curious the time frame on this actually, because I'm not saying this in a condescending way. I'm being dead ass serious. Your theory is that you think that, because I hadn't thought about it, now it's clicking what you're saying. You think that the coin for the brand becomes a way to signal fandom, and therefore you think it's tokenized fandom as opposed to other methodologies of it. And you think we get to a point where people are comfortable with that.
And
what do you
think, man? Not everyone thinks like you. Not everyone does stuff exactly the way you do.
I'm not saying, I'm looking at the larger market. This isn't about me or you. Like, I think if we're talking about meme coins, we're talking about you saying people think like you. But
this is the big difference is you've been talking about shit coins and meme coins all morning. Von Front and I've been talking about brand coins. We view these as very different things.
It's a nuanced thing for the same thing. Lipstick on a pig. Lipstick on a pig for the most part, almost always. Like
this is just like we're not going to agree on this then because it's like it's fundamentally very different. It's not
a different word. What does it do? What makes it different? Like what I'm trying to get at is your theory seems to be, and I'm saying like I'm not saying you're wrong on this, but I fundamentally disagree. But your perspective is you think people will buy coins as a way to signal brand fandom, and you're saying that like brands will be able to issue a coin, they will take on that headache, they'll do the whole 9 yards. Startups will be able to do that, and people will do it as a way to signal fandom. More so, and you think that that's going to happen at some point. You think that people will buy coins to signal fandom. Like that is what you're saying as the fundamental underlying point is that they will want to hold it just because they want to hold it is what you're saying. For like these startups. Okay. That's what I'm asking. That I'm not like saying it like it isn't gotcha. I'm just asking the question of like the perspective because like
there's no gotcha. Like that happens today. People do this today. It's a fact. Like and it's like I believe more people might do this in the future. I don't know why it's so hard to grasp. It's not going to be everyone. Some people do this.
Yeah, right. In the crypto space. That's the point. Like it's
not just crypto though, man. People do this in stocks. People do this. People do this with their sports teams. People like become fans of things and they support those things. Sometimes it's buying a jersey. Sometimes it's buying a toy. Sometimes it's buying a coin.
But those are so the two things you said are like massively different categories. Your thought is that those
becoming increasingly more digital than ever before.
You think those two things merge? Okay, I don't agree with it on the coin front. I think there's other ways that would happen, but you think those two things merge. That's fair. Like that's your perspective and your thesis. I don't think so. In your
I think it's much more likely a normie buys a brand coin to support a brand they want to support than they buy an NFT that's tied to the brand that they want to support. That's how I believe. As far as someone not in crypto, I think they're much more likely to see value in a loyalty reward program that is a brand coin as opposed to, oh, I can go claim these, I can turn in these drag points for an NFT. They're not interested in that, I don't think. But yeah, people will like, it's dollars, it's money. It's a better loyalty rewards program. It's an incentive program. And this is just one way that they're leveraging, like, Rect is so far away from a shitcoin. It's like I don't even know where to begin to describe how different they are. And you're just calling it like a pig with lipstick. It's like I don't even like we are.
I said Rex and anomaly. I said Rex and anomaly, but you guys are like
everything's an anomaly until it's not though, Steve. This is just one of the first to have massive success. Now we're going to see more of it. Like Pingu's an anomaly, Rex an anomaly, Bored Ape Yacht Club's an anomaly. They're all anomalies until they aren't.
There's a difference between a framework and a there's so many like things being conflated here in so many different ways. First of all, with the brand coin, I said Rect is an anomaly in a very specific set of circumstances that was like cultivated to make it work. That's great. But like, I'm saying that outside of it, the way you're saying it is basically as if it's going to be like, well, everybody should have a brand coin because, and I know you're not saying that earlier, but now you're basically being like, well, people will buy it for fandom and they'll want to support a brand.
Sure, I'm not saying all. I'm not saying everyone. I'm not saying all are going to do this. Some people do this today. I believe some people are going to do this in the future. Like I'm not using these absolute statements that you're trying to retwist my words. I'm just saying some people will do this. People think like this right now.
And you think, but well, I mean, there's a couple things about that. One, my point is the market's very small and will continue to be very small because the market of people who are interested in this sort of product is small. Like, I think that's just, I don't think that's that hot of a take to say the market for people who want.
This is where we just disagree. I believe the TAM is people who are interested in incentive loyalty reward programs. That's many billions of people. That's the TAM. That's the market. Most of those billions of people aren't aware that a brand coin is another mechanism for a loyalty reward program. People thought Rakuten was a scam until it wasn't. Rakuten was an outlier till it wasn't. Now they have 2 billion people, and
I don't think Rakuten has anything to do with meme coins. Like I don't track this conversation.
Exactly my point. This is the meme coin. Steve, we're talking about a loyalty reward incentive program. They're not gonna. It's just like they're not calling them NFTs anymore because they're digital collectibles. These brands aren't going to launch it and call it a meme coin. They're not going to call, oh, we got a shit coin that you get rewarded with. It's going to be part of their loyalty rewards incentive program.
I don't think they can escape that though. Like, you think they can escape? It's like
yes, they can. Yeah, they can.
How else would you describe a token without calling it a token? Like, you're just putting the word. You're like, look, it may not be a meme coin because we changed the word meme to brand. How do you explain a token, a thing that the price number goes up and down? Like, without using the term token. Like, I don't track the, I don't know. I like, again, like, if you think that people are going to buy it to support it like a brand product, like maybe that's the case. I don't know. Like, it's not my assertion. I think the market is super small. I think saying the market for meme coins or brand coins, whatever we want to call them, is the market for loyalty rewards, I think is a wild statement. I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
I'm saying the TAM, the people who might be interested in something like this are those who are interested in getting rewards back for their purchases. That's what I'm saying. That is a many billion people market.
I think that's a wild statement to be like, people who are interested in potentially interested in brand coins are people who do loyalty programs. I think that's nuts. But that's also like,
ask everyone at Rakuten, would you be happy if you bought something on Amazon today and tomorrow you got a token that was worth whatever you paid for that thing? They'd say, yeah, that's pretty sweet. How does that work? It doesn't seem sustainable. It seems too good to be true. But they take it. They're gonna care what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell me that I get my exact money back for purchasing something, which is never going to be a sustainable business,
but they're not gonna position it that, just like Rec doesn't position it that.
I know, but like you just positioned it like that, and I answered the question of saying,
because
well,
that's been the outcome.
That's not what it is. Like, ask somebody, hey, you can get a reward that is cash back, you can get a reward that is something that is at the store, or you can get a reward that is the equivalent of that cash back. And the $5, maybe $1 tomorrow, or maybe $10 tomorrow. Do you want to take that risk? Market for that is significantly smaller than it is for the other two things. But I don't know. Like,
it's like the Disney collectible pins that are worth less today than they were yesterday when I bought them.
I don't understand. Like, what does that have to do with like people getting a brand loyalty reward in a brand coin? Like, how is that related to Disney collectibles?
They're both a digital token.
This is the weirdest reductive argument now you're going to, that you're saying like a Disney coin is the same as.
I'm not saying it's the same. You asked earlier, what are you going to, it's a token. Like, these are all tokens. They're all digital.
So somebody who chose to buy a product that can go up or down or value, like you're saying, like somebody buys a sports jersey to support their team. You don't buy a sports jersey being like, hey, I think that this Nick Chubb jersey is going to go up in price or down in price. You buy a Nick Chubb jersey to wear a Nick Chubb jersey. Like it's the,
just like I'm not saying people are going to buy a CPG product because they expect number to go up in price. It's just a mechanism. It's just a program.
Right. So like the reward system that you're talking about is something that I think people are like, again,
because in your head, it's a shit coin. It's the consumer is not going to view it as a shit coin. It's going to be loyalty points. That's it. These loyalty points might be worth $10. They might be worth $100. We don't know. It's like a scratch off.
So I have less loyalty points next week than I had this week. Like, that's not an appealing mechanism to people. Like, I don't think you're understanding the point here.
Keep going with the model. It's always less. There's a world where it's the same. There's a world where it becomes more. It's like a gotcha on your loyalty. Like maybe you win big, maybe you win small. It's part of the fun. Like
I said earlier, like, hey, maybe it's
enjoy gambling. People enjoy sports gambling. People enjoy.
Yes, and that market is small. That market is relatively small.
Dude, it's not a small market.
This is where, again, this is a very biased perspective.
The sports gambling market is small. The lottery market is small. That's what I'm saying. There's not small markets.
The sports gambling market is smaller than we think it is in this space because we have seen it grow because it's reaching more people. Everyone can go out and gamble today if they want to go out and gamble. They're not. Again, go ask 30 people who watch sports how many of them gamble on it. It's probably
$100 billion market. It's huge.
Yeah, that's a big market, relatively speaking, but it's not. But relatively speaking, it's not like those people. First of all, you're comparing that to the meme coin market, and you're saying like, well, therefore those people are going to be into it. But yeah, it's smaller than you think. It's growing comparatively. Like the gambling market, again, go talk to 100 people who watch sports, ask them how many gamble. It's probably like, whatever. It's a smaller percentage of people. So now you're going to reduce that to meme coins. You're like, well, it's a big market. It's a big addressable market. So you're going to say that it's worth it to brands to take on the meme coin risk. You're going to say that people are going to be interested in that market at all. Like I said, if it's an option, if it's a crypto related product, or it's a product where this market actually makes sense, great. But I don't think this is like some big thing or I just don't think brand coins are some big game changer. People buy it the same way they buy a jersey. I think people buy a jersey for a completely different reason and a completely different psychology than they buy a brand coin. So it is what it is. I think that you are overestimating what the actual market is, but it is what it is. We're not going to agree on it, and we can move to something else or kind of close down. Either way, it's fine.
There's a lot actually to hit on. We're gonna have to save it for another day, but the Trump shit's getting out of control, man.
What now?
Tron investigated by the SEC for market manipulation. Justin Sun becomes top holder of Trump, and World Liberty Fi investigations drop. Now Tron announces they're going public via reverse merger, with Eric Trump taking the role at the company.
Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, this is the headline. Crypto group Tron to go public after U.S. pauses probe into billionaire founder. Eric Trump expected to take a role at the company. We're just giving opposition all kinds of ammunition, and doesn't make me feel good at all. I don't know how this plays out, but doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about how this thing could implode. That actually is, I think, the black swan. I've been saying it potentially could be Sailor and I don't think it's going to be MicroStrategy. I think that black swan could be other companies attempting to do the MicroStrategy thing, and it just goes way too far. I'm now starting to think it's the Trump family.
Yeah,
they're getting way too deep into crypto and using it for personal gain. There's going to be his opponents were trying to get him thrown in prison when he wasn't present a few months ago. Like, this is if I don't know, man. It gets me. I'm like more anxious than ever. But I don't even want to think about the next election cycle. We thought, and then ended up being that crypto was actually a key talking point of the last cycle, or somewhat of a talking point. Like, man, I don't even want to think about. It gives me anxiety to think about how crypto is going to be talked about during next election cycle. I'll just leave it at that for now. But yeah, not a big fan of how some of that is looking to be structured. Jupiter drops today. Speaking of Rec Coin and those brand coins, anyone wants a brand coin, go make sure you're ready for your Jupiter drops. We didn't even hit on Backroom or Peel. We'll save that for tomorrow, but I did pin up top the Mintify went live with Hyperliquid. So anyone that is still struggling or finding how do you buy Hype, how do you get started on Hyperliquid, the Mintify bridge is up and live. That's pinned up top as well. And last but not least, we did not hit over the weekend, but our Caps Clutch Market parlay of the day, we're going back to the Pacers. Last time we bet on the Pacers, we hit. So we paired the Pacers with the two biggest MLB favorites today. We're rooting for the Pacers tonight, along with the Washington Nationals and the Yankees. All three of those win. A listener tomorrow is taking home 95 Ape. So good luck us, and go get your own parlay set up at Clutch Market at ape.clutch.market.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, by the way, on the Trump thing. I mean, that's what we said. We called it, probably like 3, 4, 5. I don't even remember when we called it. We're like, the biggest upside to crypto is Trump getting elected, and the biggest downside to crypto is Donald Trump getting elected. Because, you called it out during the stablecoin debates where it was like people were talking about the Trump coin, which has nothing to do with stablecoins.
Imagine that actually being an election. Like that was in a congressional hearing where Trump was not the topic, and yet he was that, like, Trump and his, I don't even know, the quote was like, basically someone on the left wanted to support the bill, and they said, I couldn't even think about supporting the bill when all this corrupt stuff's coming out of the White House. Like, it's just like, this is going to be, I think it's shaping up to be like the talking point of the next cycle. It's probably like, I don't know, man. It's just way too much even political stuff in my brain space for this, but
it is like, it's
just
going
a blatant crime season. Like, they're not even
I-
trying to hide it. Like, it's bribery. Like, Justin Sun bribed the president of the United States, and it worked.
Yeah, it's scary stuff because it's like, all the reasons you said, obviously, but then you like back up and you look at like, man, I don't know, man. It's like, I think when you look at the next election, we were so excited for crypto to be a talking point of the election this cycle and maybe next cycle. And now it's like, it's just all the wrong things that we don't want to talk about. It's like, because like, I think you're right. Like, there will be other talking points. Like, they're going to talk about, the economy. They're going to be talking, those are going to be like, economy is always number one because people, it's the easy talking point. Number 2 is always going to be like international affairs because we're getting involved in other stuff. I think crypto is like a top 5 talking point in the next election based on what Trump's done, and like, not in a good way. Like, it's scary that we might get rolled back and swing the other way and be back where we were because of this stuff. It's just like, you give a mouse a cookie, man. I don't know. So, yeah, cross our fingers for that one. But yeah, I think a lot of more stuff to dive in tomorrow. I know we went deep on the brand coin discussion and other things this morning. Hopefully I will be convinced. I will let people know if I change my mind on anything on that. But in the meantime, we'll let everyone sail off into their day. Thanks for coming through every day. Good discussion, 3-hour show. Don't get those too often, especially on a Monday. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.